Evening, people. Welcome back to Lead Judges TV. Trust me, that introduction is going to be as exciting as it gets in terms of Arsenal's transfer window. I'm your host, Dan Potts, for tonight, and I'd like to welcome a new guest to the show, Lead Judges on Lead Judges TV. We haven't seen you for 3 weeks, mate. How you been?
Yes, yeah, I've been very busy, been doing things, and had a lot of do's, and of course, like yesterday, it was my thing. I remembered. Well, I didn't. I forgot that I was going to a sort of a communion, and I didn't realise that I was going to not be back in time. So, listen, it was free champagne, free booze, free wine. I weren't coming home early, Dan. I weren't coming home early, like, you know.
Sounds horrendous, mate. Sounds horrendous. How did you manage it?
So,
I said it sounds horrendous. How did you manage that?
I don't know. I managed to pull through, like, you know what I mean? And, nice roast dinner as well. It was like everything perfect, like, you know what I mean? So, can you believe this? Like, my battery's just about to go. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, no worries. Of course I can, mate. Guys, it leaves to say thank you to everyone who's turned up already. There's over 200 of you watching live. This is great stuff. Please get your stuff in the chat. We're going to be joined by some fans, by some guests tonight. And have a little bit of a fans call-in because there is still some time left, but it's looking pretty bleak in the Arsenal transfer window. It looks like Arsenal have left it very, 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 very late. And I think everybody was kind of saying, don't panic, something will happen. And something did happen. AUBAMEYANG has left. The only signings we've made are going to be for the next summer. We've even trusting the process so much. We've even signed somebody called Trusty, Austin Trusty, from the Colorado Rapids. Stan Kroenke has done it again. Anybody who's still trusting this process and telling me to trust it, please be quiet. I'm done with it. I'm done with all the excuses. I'm done with the Kroenkes of bringing money into the club. I'm letting us spend money. I'm done with this board know what they're doing. I'm done with the inexperience. I'm done with the fact that we are in a position where people like Mikel Arteta and Edu are allowed to run this club and don't know what they're doing. Brilliant signings in the summer. These guys have learnt their lesson. Trust the process. And then we get to January, and it's probably been one of the worst Januaries I can remember in my time of supporting the club of 34 years. So it's doom and gloom, it's negative stuff, and some people may call it toxic. But please, if you want to throw some positives at me, then do it. And that's what we're going to do, is get different guests and different opinions on. Before I do that, I'm going to ask Mr. Lee Judges his thoughts. Lee, transfer window. Let's take it completely off the pitch, mate. I don't want to talk about what's happened in the last few weeks. It's been doom and gloom. I thought something may have happened, mate, in the coming days. We are not seeing it. There's only under an hour left. And we're still looking to do some incoming business. Round up your thoughts. A lot's happened. And where do you stand currently on the situation of the ownership, board and manager?
It's been an absolute shocker, Dan. It's been a shocker of a transfer window, like, you know. Listen, first and foremost, I'm going to say this now. Every player that we've let go wouldn't get into the first team at the moment. That includes AUBAMEYANG. You know, that is fair enough. I agree with that. But we needed to bring in some players and improve this side. I don't care what anybody says. I'm going to talk about being on the field. I can't believe, you know, it's only 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, how long it was, we went out to a championship side, a team below, a league below us in the league. That's all right. Not a problem. No one seemed to bother about it. Like, you know, I've gone to games going back when we lost to Wrexham, York, even Nottingham Forest the time before under Arsene Wenger. It was, you know, mayhem after the game. Everybody angry about it. Now there's an acceptance. You know, we sell our best player and people will rather slag off the player that scored 92 goals, is it, or whatever, 92 goals for us, instead of criticise the manager or whatever, like, you know. I can't believe it that he's been criticised for it, like, you know, slagged off. You know,
why is that, Lee? Why is that? Why is it
trying to cover up the deficiencies of the football club? They'd rather slag off something else. They'd rather slag off a player that's done the business for us, apart from 1 year. Everybody going mad when he signed the thing. I said at the time, if you go back to it, I said when you let him go, I did say that. You know what I mean? Like, but no, they all know this. Like, and then we've been classy in the way that we've done it? No. I don't think we've been. Have we learned from the Ozil thing? No. So, you know, somebody turned around and said to me, like, we're saving ourselves £25 million in wages. Let's all celebrate because that's what we've done. We have bought in for 63,000, but we're 63 million, should I say? But we're saving 25 million on wages. By the way, in the summer, we're going to let Lacazette and Eddie go for nothing. Where we saving money there, like, you know what I mean? So on one hand, we celebrate it, we're saving it, and then the other way, we don't. How many more players are we going to let go for free? How many more? Aaron Ramsey's just gone to Rangers on loan. Whether people like him or not, or whatever, like at the end of it, I'd rather have him in my midfield than Charlie Patino at this moment in time, going forward into the next 17 games. But Rangers can afford these wages or whatever, or that. So I don't think it's about affording it. It's the management team of Edu and Arteta saying, well, we don't need him. I know what's coming in the next hour or so. Jack Wilshere is going to sign for Arsenal, like, you know what I mean, on a short-term deal. I'm not going to criticise it, like, but that's what's coming. That's what's coming. At the end of it, Dan, I'm going to tell you this now. I'm not going to lose my stuff. I know you do and all that. Like, you're a lot younger than me, and I was probably a little bit like you when that was there. I was freaking out a few weeks ago, saying we've got 5 weekends. Arsenal got one game in 5 weekends, right? And I think, weekends without football. I've just had one weekend without Arsenal. Do you know what? I loved it. I had a fantastic weekend. Do you know why? Because Arsenal didn't ruin it. Haven't ruined it. Arteta and his Jill slick back here haven't ruined it for me, like, with a shit show. And that is a case of it. Like, I had a good Friday night out. Saturday went out, played football with my mates, and that Sunday had a good day out. I ain't worried about it. You know what I mean? Like, and I was talking to one of my mates yesterday. If Arsenal would have played Sunday and we'd have lost, I wouldn't have enjoyed Sunday night as much because of it. Like, you know. So for me, it is what it is now. You know what it is. And before this, I thought, you know, I've got my ticket for the Wolves game in a week's time or whatever it is on a Thursday. And I don't really want to go, mate. I'll be really honest. You know what I mean? I've got no enthusiasm really because they're waning it away from me. You know what I mean? Like, I swear they're going to bring out, you know, they brought out this underground shirt, like, you know what I mean? They're going to be doing one with all smiley faces. Look, we took the piss out of the fans, but we'll do that, like, you know what I mean? We'll put this shirt out, we'll sell it, like, you know what I mean? Like,
yep.
You know what I mean? And it's going to have on the back, no signings in January, like, you know what I mean? And every Arsenal fan's going to go and buy it, like, you know what I mean? Because it's retro and it's fantastic and all that, like, you know? Ultimately, we've been mugged off. We have been mugged off. You know what I mean? You don't get rid of your best player. As a manager, get rid of your best player or striker, and if you know that you can replace him and all that, like, you know. But listen, Eddie will sign tomorrow because Arteta said that the only reason he's not signing is through lack of game time. He's going to get a bit of game time now. So I expect 10 goals from him in the next 17 games. And I expect Lacazette to get 10 goals. So that's 20 goals from them two strikers in the next. That will see us into the top 4. Can they do it? Do you know what? Between me and you, Dan, I don't think they can.
Yeah, it's not looking too good, mate. And I'm just kind of bored of it all now, really. I think everybody knows where I stand, and that's why I want to get some guests on because I'm getting bored of my own voice saying the same thing.
Just before you get on the guests, a lot of people are hiding, trying to laugh about it because of their disappointments of it all. Like, you know what I mean? Seen it on groups today, like, you know what I mean? Like, deep down, they know. But deep down, they've backed the process and whatever so, you know, that they can't turn around and go, do you know what? This is not right. So they laugh about it and joke about it. But it ain't, you know what I mean? At the end of it, we've gone to the Emirates and this has been a January transfer window as bad as the one when we signed Petr Cech. And we all know what happened after that when we capitulated. So we'll see.
We will see. And it's funny what you say because the excuses are now starting to run out, aren't they, Lee? We've seen excuses. No, I'd say it's the players. We can't blame the players now because we're not actually kicking the ball. So the problems are still occurring off the pitch as well now. And I've always praised the pair of them off the pitch for their signings. I think some of the dead wood that they've cleared out has been great. And even in this window, I don't actually mind the players that have left. But you cannot let players go and not replace them. It is an absolute shambles how we're being run top to bottom. It really is an absolute shambles. And I don't know what people were expecting. I think people, I imagine, were expecting at least a couple of players to come in. But I can't sit there at the end of this window now, Lee, unless we do something in 45 minutes and become really shocked with you, mate, because I think we have just inexperience running throughout the whole of our club. And this has really shown this window. Not only have we been dumped out of both the competitions because Arteta and Edu haven't managed to get in any players, but now we're seeing we've got our top 4 chances hanging by the thread because we're not strengthening the side.
No.
And how many more of these players is Mikel Arteta going to fall out with before you start to look at the manager? I mean, someone sent me a great message today, Lee. I'll text it to you.
Yeah.
A non-negotiables 11. Leno in goal, Tavares left back, Ainsley Maitland-Niles at right back, Mavropanos and Saliba at centre backs, and Pablo Mari in a back 3. Guendouzi and Torreira, Pepe, Ozil and Aubameyang as a front 3. Do you know what? If they were still at the squad, we'd have actually a squad of players, wouldn't we? Because we'd have 11 there that would actually be okay as backup instead of having to play Charlie Patino and Balogun. Oh, we can't play Balogun because that's another one that's gone out on loan. We've kept hold of Eddie Nketiah. Why? Why did we not let him go and keep hold of Balogun if he's the one that's our future that signed a long-term deal? It's all backwards, this club. It's as if we get somebody in that is like, do you know what? Eddie Nketiah doesn't want to be here, so let's keep him and get the guy that we think is our future out on loan. Let's get Aubameyang, who's an elite striker, and let's get rid of him and not learn what we did off of Ozil. Let's keep Lacazette and give him the armband because in 6 months he's going. Let's get Pepe, who's scoring goals for the Ivory Coast and giving assists, but can't do nothing under Arteta. There is no centre forward this guy has got scoring. What does that tell you? So I look at it and think, even if we would have signed Vlahovic, and Isak, I still don't have the faith that we would have even got anything on the pitch anyway. But do you know what? We would have had the ambition to at least try. I love the ambition of Vlahovic, but when it didn't happen, we should have had a plan B. And we haven't got a plan B, mate, because our transfer window has been an absolute shambles, mate. It really has. I want to bring some guests on, Lee. I've got to bring Tanner on because he has got to go soon. So I'm going to welcome Tanner to the show, if I may. Tanner, how you doing, mate?
Good, guys. How we doing? Lee, good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you, my man.
I see you lost all your hair. I couldn't resist. I had to. Sorry. Meanwhile, I come on looking like this, looking like I lost a fight with Santa Claus.
Tanner, what's happening, man? Talk to me.
I think more than anything else, fellas, it's disappointment because it's not anger for me. I'm not angry. I'm disappointed. Dan, you said when you kick things off, talking about positives. And I'm not necessarily going to throw a positive. I'm just going to throw a different spin on things. If you go back over some January transfer windows and look at the business that we did, and you could go back to 2-3 years ago, Denny Suarez, right? What difference did that move even make? The Vlahovic thing. I'll be honest. I'm almost glad we didn't get him, given all of the things I was hearing about. He's not real convinced about coming here. His agent's trying to broker this deal. They don't really want to do this. And I feel like if we would have pushed and pushed and pushed, we were getting a player that ultimately didn't want to be here anyway. And if that's the case, you're trading out one toxic character or one toxic trait for another. We needed reinforcements. We certainly need reinforcements. Where we've got 19, I think, first team players, something like that. I don't think we have 20 first team players at this point. So we need some warm bodies. But I will say that I would rather not waste the money on a player that's not going to do us any good and have to worry about what do we do with this guy who's not going to do anything for us, and we've got him on a 4-year contract. We can't sell him because he's not worth a bag of fucking balls. So I'm disappointed. I'm not going to jump off a bridge over it. I'm with Lee though, honest to God. And you know what? And this started for me. I'm going to go back further, but it started for me with the whole the pandemic shutdown and everything, and in every sport that was being played at the time. Just okay, there are no sports left, And it's like, man, oh man, there are so many other things I can be doing with my life. And my day isn't getting ruined by one of my sports teams shitting the bed, you know? So I'm not going to jump off a bridge over this. It's a Murphy's Law kind of thing. If it can happen, it will. You know what I mean? So we have 17 matches left. All of our eggs are now in top 4 in the league. So no excuses, right? You guys have said this for months now. No excuses. There are no excuses now. Injuries, you guys shit the bed on bringing in backup. So if there's an injury, you can't blame the injury, because while you say it's next man up, that next man, if it's Eddie Nketiah as a striker, I got a 3-year-old beagle that could probably do a better job of scoring goals than he does. I mean,
man, you're not wrong, Tanner, and I think I want to get your opinions on the planning at this club and who you kind of put the blame on here, because it's easy to blame one man, it's easy to just point fingers, but for me it's more than just this people think I hate Arteta and it's always Dan hates Arteta, it's always Arteta's fault. Do you know what? I'm not even just blaming this guy at the moment. This is a shambles, top to bottom. Whether your name's Stan or Josh Kroenke, Vinay Venkatesham, Edu or Mikel Arteta, you are all supposed to be one to take this club forward. And I don't see it happening. So where do you stand on that situation, Tanner?
I'll say this. Arteta probably comes in at the bottom of that totem pole for me. In other words, I'm not absolving him of blame, but to me, if I'm looking at the business side of the way this is done, Arteta can identify players. He can be in the meetings of, okay, here's our big board of players. Okay, here's what we want in midfield, and here's what it's going to cost. So where does Mikel come down on this? But he's not the guy that's actually brokering the deal, if you will. That's Edu, that's Richard Garlick, that's Tim Lewis, that's Vinay. It's Josh probably, sanctioning the deal. But Arteta, for the most part, in the actual transaction, is simply lending an opinion. Maybe he's making a phone call, reaching out to the player, trying to do a little, greasing the skids, if you will. But I'd put him at the bottom of that. It rests on the hierarchy. You blame Edu. You blame, we brought in Richard Garlick to make these deals. Where's he at in this? Bring him in and blame him as well. Is Josh saying, look, guys, I gave you how much money in the summer to spend? I gave you 150 million quid to spend in the summer. I'm not giving you any more in January, so figure it out. I blame the hierarchy. The ownership is at the top of the list because they have to sanction the deal. They have to come in and say to Edu, Garlick, Vinay, Tim Lewis, they have to say to those guys, look, get it done. Name me your targets, name me your prices, and let's go get it done. Right? But to not have a plan B, and that comes down to Edu, in my opinion, to not have a plan B after Vlahovic, to say, okay, well, we're willing to pay this for him, but we're not willing to do it for Alexander Isak. Why? So
yes,
again, no plan B. I blame Edu for that. So, but Arteta would be at the bottom of the list to blame in terms of the business side of things for me.
Lee, just quickly before we let Tanner go, Mark's made a great point here in the chat. I really like this comment. Big up to Mark Jerome, by the way. It says, if we're all honest, we find ourselves unexpectedly in with a chance to top 4 this season. So why haven't we taken advantage and strengthened the squad now, Lee?
I have no clue. I have to say that, I just have no clue why we've not done it. I remember Josh Kroenke saying, let's be excited, but he forgot that he was not on the LA Rams website. If he was on the Arsenal website, there's something like that. I just don't know. I just don't. Listen, the Kroenkes have gone to the LA Rams and we've spent billions, and in two years they've got to 3 years. In 2 in 3 years they've got to 2 Super Bowls. So it can be done, and if they want to do it, it can be doing it. And I just think that you've got a young coach, they've brought in players and all that, but ultimately they don't know nothing about football and the recruiting that they've got. I think now is, and I know what Tanner's saying. I do agree with what he's saying there. I think Edu and Vinay have got to go after this. They've got to resign after this because it's been shambolic. But ultimately, Arteta's in that as well, because 40 million for that Bruno Guimaraes, I think that's his name. that is a player that we could be looking at. Like, obviously Arteta said, no, we don't want him. He's the one that's fallen out with Aubameyang. Yeah, we can. I can sell him. It's basically saying that, yeah, we can sell him and I can do without him because why? And that is it to me now. They're all of them are now. I think all of them now are under pressure. If we lose to Wolves, I think that and we end up coming about. If we end up coming 7th or 8th this season, I expect the day the season finishes that all of them either resign or sacked. That is as simple as that. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
I'm with you.
but listen, if they get top 4 from this year, we can turn around and say it's been a masterstroke. So I'm not going. That's why I'm not going to lose it at the moment, because what I see against Manchester City, I see a very, very good side. But then when I see we get a few injuries, that's what can happen. Basically, I think what we see at Arsenal within 3 days, you see Arsenal what it is like with everybody fit, and then you see what it was like when we had a couple of injuries. They chose not to react on that situation, so they're taking a big gamble.
They're
No, it's
betting
on
that
them
there
now.
will be. They're betting that there will be no more injuries for the rest of the season.
Yeah, that's gambling on it.
Yep.
They're gambling on it.
Yep. And you're absolutely right, Lee. Go ahead, Dan. I'm sorry.
No, so I was just going to ask you, Tanner. Let me finish on this, because I want to ask you 2 things. I want to ask you where you think it leaves us in terms of a league position and what you think will happen now with a very thin squad. And then I'm asking everybody this question tonight. I don't know why I am really, but rate our transfer window out of 10.
I'll answer the second question first, and I'm going to give it a 5, and I'll tell you why I give it the 5.
Well, that's optimistic.
Well, it's a 5, and I'll tell you why. We got Aubameyang's wages are off the books beginning next season. We're paying the majority of his wage for the end of till the end of this season. Barcelona assumes basically a new contract for him next season. We let him go for free, so that frees up £350,000 a week starting next season. A couple of other things, a couple of other players out the door, and we'll see what happens. But thinning the squad out to a degree isn't a bad thing. That's not a bad thing when you look at the players that have left. And I saw a stat somewhere. It's like you could add all of their minutes up that they've played in full this season, and it's under 1,000. They've played under 1,000 minutes for the entirety of the season. The players that have left, not including Aubameyang. But not bringing anybody in and not replacing these players, not adding some depth pieces at the very least, brings that score down. So I'm just going to split the difference right in the middle with a 5. I think the outgoing business was good, but you didn't bring anything in to replace it. So the first question, repeat the first question for me. I'm sorry.
Where does it leave us now, mate, in terms of league position, do you think, realistically?
I mean, no injuries. We should hover around the top 4. If we finish 6th, that should still be us hovering around the top 4, 4, 5, maybe 6 points off of top 4, off of 4th place. With the team and no injuries, and we have 17 matches left. So let's take into consideration we're going to play. I don't know how many games we've had. 2 games postponed, I believe, or 3, 2.
We've got Wolves, Chelsea, and Liverpool, and Tottenham. So 4.
So I'm sorry. So we've had 4. So somewhere between now and the middle of May, we're going to play 4 games in 14 days, give or take, to try to make these matches up, right? But overall, you think we're going to get 3 days off. So we should be able, barring injury, should be able to get through this with what we would all, I think, agree is the best 11 of what we've seen this season, right? If Xhaka doesn't lose his head and get a red card, if Thomas Partey doesn't lose his head, now I got to worry about him too, and no injuries, I think we're right where we can expect to be. I'd say anywhere from 4th to 6th. I think the best 11, which is what we have left, that's a 4th to 6th place team given what I've seen so far. One injury can throw this entire thing into a tailspin. If Lacazette goes down and he misses any significant amount of time, you could be looking at 10th place. So no injuries, no red cards, suspensions. Give me 4th to 6th, and I'll take that. I would be satisfied with that. I said at the beginning, 5th or 6th, Europa League. That's the goal. If we finish 4th, that's icing. That's just icing on top of the cake for me. But we're gonna have a lot of work to do in the summer because we're a very thin squad and we need to improve drastically.
Absolutely, mate. I fear you are right. Tanner, it's been a pleasure, mate. Thanks so much for jumping on, man. I know you've got to shoot off now.
Yeah. Take care, guys. Lee, my sex life doesn't last nearly as long as it takes me to get to work, by the way. I just want you to know that. So, guys, take care. We'll talk to you soon, guys. Thanks.
Cheers, Tanner. Top man. Make sure you go and follow Tanner on The Bearded Gooner on Twitter and all social media platforms. I'd like to welcome our next guest, Daniel Bailey. Daniel, how are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Not too bad.
Talk to me, guys? Dan. Talk to me, mate. What's been going on? What's happening with this club at the moment?
Do you know what? I've gone through every single emotion today. I've gone from hope to anger to disappointment to not even surprised. My overriding feeling is I feel completely mugged off as an Arsenal fan right now. I feel incredibly mugged off. And it's nothing ever changes, does it? Nothing ever changes. And do you know what? Everybody's to blame for this. Everybody's to blame. The fans are to blame. That, you know, the hierarchy's to blame. Arteta's to blame. Edu's to blame. Josh is to blame. Do you know what? Right, I wouldn't trust this guy's word as far as I could throw him. Do you know what I mean? And it's just, it's my head hurts with all this. Do you know what I mean? It honestly does. And for the first time in how long, I even questioned today. I was like, is it worth going week in, week out? Is it worth paying all this money? And it's a lot of money, to follow this team week in, week out. Is it worth it? What payback do we get as fans? What payback? Because we're getting nothing, absolutely nothing. It's a shambles, Dan, an absolute shambles.
It is a shambles, mate. Go on, Lee.
He makes a great point about, why you're following this club and you're paying a lot of money. It's not just about winning games of football. It's never has been. It's about, feeling that you've got a chance of doing something all the time. Like, do you know what I mean? Even back in the day, I look back, I was watching something here the other day, 1976, we come in the bottom half of the table. What did we do next season? We banged out, we got Malcolm McDonald for a record transfer fee. We brought in 83 when we was in the doldrums, we bought Charlie Nicholas, you know what I mean? And give everybody a lift, We've done things in the past that have, even say, I'm going to say it, then their worst spell then was 95, 96, but who did we bring in 95? Dennis Bergkamp. Do you know what I mean? Give the club a lift. This time around, we need a lift. And what they're doing is just taking all hope away from you. And as for that Josh Kroenke, you know what I mean? Like, I'm with Daniel on this. I don't believe a word he says because his talk is cheap. He's had a chance we had a chance, whether you thought we did or we didn't, to get into the top four with the position we was in. And what they've done in this transfer window has been criminal to the Arsenal fan. To go into a game like Nottingham Forest away from home, which we pay their money to go and watch, to play one midfield player in that game, then call off a game against Spurs after the Liverpool game, and then turn round and get rid of 3 players in that week after that game was called off. I don't blame the FA now, you know what I mean, putting the dodgiest refs against us for as long as they want, because at the end of the day, we've abused the system and we're abusing what we're doing now. And I'll tell you what, with the Arsenal fans, it isn't always about winning. Sometimes you can go to a game and be entertained, Like against Man City, I never had the hump when we lost to Man City because it was the way we lost. We give it a good go and all that, like, you know. I then look at the game against Burnley. Everything that game is telling you that we need creativity, we need a striker. There was it, like in the transfer window, everything there, like a beacon telling you what to go and do, and we've done nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Do you know the thing is, Lee? You're absolutely spot on, because I was watching that game against Burnley at half time. I was bored. I even had to walk around just to cure the boredom. I was like, this
Honestly,
is so
you're
predictable.
Right, Dan. You're right, mate.
And we were crossing in crosses and nobody was there, and it was you could predict what was going on, and it was terrible. But you know, the thing is, and I said this to you guys, I think I said this to you guys before, that I have got no faith in this hierarchy. They're inexperienced. You know, when you've, you know, I spoke to Josh personally at the end of the last board meeting, and I asked him, I said, so what do you think of the progress we've made? And he said, oh, progress that we've made is good, but you need to build on that. And I sat there and I was like, great, you're saying all the right things. And then when we go and have a transfer window like we've had, or we're about to have, because it doesn't look like anything's changing, I just feel properly mugged off for even believing part of that. Do you know what I mean? I just sit there and think, you absolute idiot. You've just been mugged right off here with sort of believing that. And then, you know, you look at Vinay, completely inexperienced. Honestly, I felt like I was coming out. I felt like I was coming out of students' class. Do you know what I mean? Coming out of that board meeting, because they're just so inexperienced. They don't seem to have a clue. They don't seem to have a direction, and that is the problem with this hierarchy.
You're 100% spot on, Dan. There's a few people in the chat that are saying, are you on the AST? Do you want to just quickly explain how you got to speak to Josh?
Yeah. So I represent the Disabled Supporters Association, which sits on the Fan Advisory Board, which is made up of the AST, the Disabled Supporters Association, the Gold members. I think it's the Young Gooners. There's Gay Gooners on there as well. So yeah, I'd sit on the board representing the Disabled Supporters Association.
Excellent. Thanks for that, Dan. No, I think it's important that people know. So I just want to ask you this, Dan. There's a couple of things I'm asking everyone tonight, and I want to see where you stand on. You've obviously said the hierarchy you don't trust. I'm exactly the same as you. I've not trusted the process. You know, I've not. But where does this leave you in terms of the faith you have in Arteta and Edu now? Because they've proven to me yet again that they've made more mistakes. The inexperience has cost them. They've gone in with a plan A of Vlahovic. They've got no plan B, and they've not even tried to think up a plan B, even at last minute. So people will say, but they can't panic buy. They can't panic buy. You should never have to panic buy. You should always have a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C. And your plan A is Vlahovic. Your plan B is, I don't know, your next target, whether it be Isak, whoever it be. And your plan C is Ivan Toney or Ollie Watkins, whoever it be. That's what you do with transfer business. When it gets to the summer and you say, right, those were our 6 signings. The fans are happy. We're happy that we've improved the squad. Who did we miss out on? And where do we still need to strengthen? And none of that's happened, Daniel, has it?
No, none of it's happened. It's a weird one, this, Dan, because I've seen glimpses this season of what Arteta wants to do with this team. And the glimpses I've seen have been fantastic. You know, that game against Man City, I've seen some of the best football that I haven't seen at the Emirates for a long time. But then you see situations like the situation with Aubameyang. I'm all for punishing him, and I was in agreement to that. But I think Arteta's took it too far, and I think the club took it too far. And then you see inexperienced decisions where they're not bringing players in. You know, they're not. I actually blame Edu more for the January transfer, because it's his job. Like, Arteta can go into these meetings, he can say, yeah, I want this player, I think this player will be good, but it's Edu's job and the hierarchy's job to get those deals over the line. And it has been a season of plan A, hasn't it? Plan A. If plan A doesn't work, there's no plan B. And we've seen that on the pitch as well as off the pitch. If plan A is not working, there is no plan B. And that's the problem. There's no plan B. But do you know what? I've got to say this as well. And this is not just about the transfer window. We are where we are because the fans have allowed it to happen. And I'm not trying to dig out the fans
No,
unnecessarily.
I think you're spot on. I think you're absolutely
do you know
spot
the
on,
thing
mate.
is? Do you know the thing is, right? We sit here and we say we want change, but then the moment you try and do that, there's a section of fans that call you negative and toxic, and then it's hard to do anything. And then eventually they'll cotton on to what you were saying and go, oh, do you know what? Yeah, you were right all the time. By then, it's too late. So the fans are a big part. You know, last season, we had a chance to put some pressure on. We absolutely bottled it, with them protests. We turned up for one and then gave up. So as much as we can blame the club and as much as we can look at the club for not being ambitious, and that's true, they're not ambitious. You know, the club, when we're in a situation as we are with top four, you have to capitalize on that. An ambitious club will capitalize on that. But for as much as we blame the club and as much as we can sit here and say, listen, Edu's not doing his job, Vinay, Josh, they're not doing their jobs, Arteta's making mistakes, you've got to look at the fan base, because we have made mistakes as well as a fan base by allowing this to happen. And I hate to say it, we're reaping our rewards for not putting pressure on. And it's only now that people are starting to cotton on. But you know what, Dan? It's too late. It's too late now. The window's about to close. I don't want to see these fans tomorrow come on social media and go, oh, Kroenke out, this out. Where was you when it mattered? It's all well and good doing it after the situation, but where were you when it mattered? It's only matters to you now because it's affecting you. It's affecting everybody. But we're always reactionary, never proactive. And it's the same with the way this club is run. And it's the same with the way these fans react. And I'm disgusted with it all, Dan. I've got to be honest.
Daniel, you're speaking
headache.
absolute facts, mate. You're spitting absolute facts. Lee.
I just want to, he's right what he's saying. But I tell you what, someone asked me the question a week ago or something, like, when does the process end? It ends tonight. The process ends tonight, and now we now see the benefits from it. And if we don't, then I expect the fans then to go in, because Daniel's right. You do. It is a results business, and I get that. I do get that. So when the team's winning, people are reluctant to have a moan. I get that. When the team loses, they're more entitled to have a go, because that's what they do. But ultimately, there is a time when you had enough time. He's had enough time now to sort this out. He's had enough windows to sort it out. This is another window of opportunity which they have chose. The management team, not just bringing Mikel Arteta into this, the whole group of them, the process people, have had a window of opportunity. They decided that they didn't want to do nothing. So they've got all the players out now that they want to get out, because that's what they've done. Even so much so in letting your top goal scorer go for free. That tells you you're quite happy to get all the players that you wanted out, you've got out. It starts tomorrow. The process is finished. It starts now.
100% agree with you, Lee.
Do you know what? For me, the process never even existed. The process, this process. Do you know the thing is, right? People talk about this process. For me, the process ends when we as fans wake up and stop letting this club take us for fools. That's when the process ends. The process will end when these fans get their heads out their backsides and realize that our club is a shambles, and realize that the only way we're going to make changes is if we think with our feet, if we think with, not going to games and stuff, and hitting the Kroenkes where it hurts, because they only care about money. It's proven that. And you know what? When I hear Josh Kroenke saying, well, if you're hearing from me, you're hearing from my father, I'm going to scream, because we've seen from Stan that he can focus on the Rams. He doesn't care about Arsenal. We've seen that. Last night proved that. And you know what? It's an absolute shambles. It's a mess. All
It is.
I want as a fan, is an owner that cares. All I want as a fan is a board that cares and that has the passion that we as match-going fans on a weekly basis feel. Even the fans that live abroad that get up, take Australia, fans in Australia, they get up at 4 a.m. to watch us. Same with America. Sometimes they get up at 5 a.m. to watch us. We care. We're passionate. Does this board, does these owners care? Not one bit. And that's something that needs to change. And it's only us that can change it.
100%, Dan. I'm going to bring a couple of other guests on in a minute because we've got quite a few people backstage. We'll start bringing a couple of people on to have a chat with me and Lee. But Daniel, before I let you go, mate, I want to ask you where it leaves you feeling for the rest of the season, mate, in terms of our league chances now.
Do you know what? I've got no enthusiasm, to be honest, Dan. Honestly, I could sit here and say
me and Lee were saying that earlier.
We've still got a chance of fourth, but we're 2 bad results for our season being over. You know what I mean? It's just, I've got no enthusiasm, mate. I'd like to say fourth. I'd like to have faith in our first 11, but you know, when Eddie Nketiah is leading the line, it's not good. You know, I said to everybody earlier on my channel, I said, buckle up because it's going to be a bumpy ride for the rest of the season. I hope them seatbelts are working but you know what? In all seriousness, Dan, it's just, I've just got no enthusiasm, mate. I'll probably say, for me personally, we've got to get fourth. If he doesn't get top 4, then he's out. All of them are out of a job, in my opinion, because nothing less than Champions League football next season will be acceptable. We've been out the Champions League for far too long. We've been flirting around the Europa League for far too long. Now we're out of Europe altogether. Nothing less than Champions League is good enough now.
100%, mate, and I totally agree with you. Everything you've said tonight has been absolutely 100% spot on as far as I'm concerned, Daniel. Thank you so much for coming on. Please come and follow Daniel on that Daniel Bailey TV on YouTube and all social media platforms. And Daniel, it's a pleasure having you on again, mate.
Yeah, cheers. I just want to say as well, for anybody, before I go, if anybody, there was fireworks on my channel tonight between Kevin Campbell and Sophie from the Highbury squad. So do check
that
out.
Sounds about right.
Do check out the last hour of my deadline day stream. It went down. I thought I was in the middle of Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. It was crazy. But yeah, do everybody check that out. And thanks, lads. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Pleasure having you on. Thanks a lot, Daniel. Cheers, mate. I'd like to welcome 2 guests, if I may. Albert and Corey. Been waiting patiently in the wings, man. Be great to get you both on. Albert, let's start with you, man. Bro. Talk to me, Albert. Show me some positivity.
Show you some positivity. Cool. I mean,
yeah.
I'm going to church on Sunday, mate. It might help. I don't know. That's any positivity. Dan, you know what? I can't give positivity, but what I will say is that when I looked at when the transfer window was coming up, obviously this time, I never get too excited, to be honest with you, regardless whether the regime has been at Arsenal or under a different regime now, about transfer windows in January, because if you look at previous form, it's not been that great. I understand we went into this January transfer window in the good position that we got some good results. What the 2 things you want is you need to give the current playing squad a lift by bringing in new players. On top of that, you give the fans a lift. They've not done either of those things. How is it that Newcastle have got in a striker? Brighton have got in a striker. Burnley have got in a striker in V-Course. and people say they go January's a difficult transfer window. No one said it's going to be an easy transfer window. the summer transfer window is not meant to be easy. It's supposed to be difficult, but you put guys in the position to sort these issues out in terms of contracts and identifying players and getting players in. For me, it wasn't so much about the plan A targets. It is what was the contingency plan? What was plan B? What was plan C? Nothing's been done. I think even if you're an Arsenal fan, if you're completely overly positive or extremely negative, cut through all the bluster. Arsenal fans are probably shocked that we did not get one signing in, even on a loan. When you buy a new house, you have to put furniture in there. You can't have an empty house. Like you need to put things in place in order to get your house looking in tip-top shape. To not get anybody in, I think any Arsenal fan, like I said, if you cut through all the bluster, even I'm shocked it didn't get anybody in. I went to work today, damn right. I thought, you know what? Between the hours of probably about 8, 9 a.m. in the morning and between 3 o'clock in the afternoon, if I do not hear anything, Arsenal not getting any business done. There's some very intelligent Twitter Arsenal accounts out there from a broadcasting and journalist point of view. Even they have been resigned in the last 48 hours to say, you know what? I don't think Arsenal going to get anything done. And it's remarkable, Dan. I think to myself, it's a difficult window, but if other clubs can get business done and identify the areas that they need to address, why can't Arsenal get that done?
And that's my biggest pet hate. Well, no one else is doing anything. And then they go quiet when everyone starts going busy. Aston Villa, Everton, Newcastle signing players, Tottenham signing players. Don't hear from them then. All these people that are trusting the process have been dead quiet today because it's finally hit home. And this is what I don't understand. I've been trying to explain this for so long and I've taken enough abuse for it. And now people want to come and say, oh, actually, yeah, you're probably right. The process is flawed.
Dan, you know what I think is another issue as well? I've mentioned this before, and some Arsenal fans like to disagree with everything you say, but that just happens. But I said, look, one of the biggest things as well is sometimes the manager is a massive pull in terms of attracting players. And I said that, look, if I'm a player and I've got the opportunity to play for a Mikel Arteta or Steven Gerrard, for example, I know who I'm going to choose. It's no coincidence and no disrespect to Aston Villa. The reason why Coutinho's gone there is because Steven Gerrard's there. Tottenham have managed to snag Rodrigo Bentancur. He's a top baller, even though he hasn't worked at Juventus. Why do you think he's gone to Tottenham? Who's the manager? You can't underestimate the strength of the manager to bring and pull players in. And the experience thing's been mentioned in terms of how can Arsenal get in a position where you have 3 key figurehead positions at the club and they're all inexperienced. The ingredients are there for it to not go very, very well. And now we're reaping the rewards.
It's a madness, Albert. It's a madness, Albert. Before I bring Lee and Corey, I want to get you in on things, man, just quickly, because, bruv, we've been speaking quite a lot of late about Mikel Arteta and the process. I just want to ask your thoughts on what you've seen over the coming 4 weeks, mate, because we've seen this manager fall out with so many players, which has left us short anyway. To not do anything and to loan out players again and get rid of dead wood, which everyone says is great, and not bring anybody in. I can't understand anyone can justify this, Corey.
You can't justify it. We literally had to call off games because we told the Premier League or whoever that we didn't have enough players to put out on the pitch. And then now we've trimmed the squad to the point of where, we don't even have 2 players in every position. And what's going to happen if anyone else gets COVID? Are we going to be able to say that again to the Premier League that we ain't got enough players? They'll be telling, well, tough. You guys are loaning out players, selling players, giving away players, left, right, and center. I don't care. Put a team out. That's not going to fly again. Like another guy said, one injury in any position, pretty much, and it gets sticky real quick. So there's no way that you're telling me about process and that this is part of it, and having such a trim, lean squad in a pandemic, and then on top of that, just the normal injuries that we tend to get. is what we wanted to do going forward. This is not the plan. I don't buy it, and it just leaves us in a real predicament. The teams around us, their squads are healthy. As Albert said, Tottenham have added to their squad. Man United squad was already healthy. West Ham, whoever, they're all right. Yeah, we are looking really short compared to them. And even though there's only 17 games left, I don't see how we can really go into the second half of the season thinking that we can get top 4.
Mate, I think you're spot on. Lee, I want to ask you a quick question in relation to the other teams, because everyone says, oh, what the other business done? Look at what the other teams are doing. Is it fair to say that everybody has pretty much strengthened, Lee, apart from Arsenal around us? Or is that not fair to say?
I think some of them have strengthened. I think, I'd argue that West Ham probably haven't, if I'll be honest. You know what I mean? Like, Tottenham, have Tottenham strengthened? They're very clever what they've done. They've brought in a couple of players and got rid of a couple of players. You know what I mean? Like, Arsenal, I'll say it again. Arsenal have got rid of players that are not going to get into the starting 11. It's as simple as that. Not one of them's going to get into the starting 11, So I'm just going to I think what we can do as a fan now is just look at it and see what happens. If Arsenal don't get no injuries and everybody's fit and available, Arsenal will come close to getting top 4. They'll come close. But if they've got a top-class striker in and a midfield player, they would have got top 4. This is the gamble they're taking now, you know what I mean? And listen, there'd be some champagne corks popping and some real backhands slapping on backs if they get top 4 and saving all their money in wages that they've done in this. This will be the best January transfer window Arsenal Football Club has ever seen from a board's point of view.
From a business point of view.
For a business point of view, it would be absolutely fantastic. Get the old champagne out. Let's have a little ting, because that's unbelievable, But it is a massive, massive gamble what they're doing. Do I think that it's a gamble that they're going to pay off? No, I don't think it is. I think that we're going to fall short, because love and behold, you're always going to get injuries. You're always going to get lack of form. Look at Smith Rowe, was absolutely on fire 4 or 5 weeks ago. Then he's picked up a groin strain, and he ain't been quite the same, has he? Now, if that happens to Martinelli, or that happens to Saka, who have been playing, in my opinion, quite a lot. I honestly think, when you look at it, I look at it now and I think that this was all planned. They knew they weren't bringing no one in. They was going to try for Vlahovic, but they weren't 100% sure they was going to get him. They knew that they was going to have a nice little break, losing to Nottingham Forest, having this winter break now. The game against Chelsea, they knew about that as well. They know that the players can have a nice long rest, get to recharge the batteries, because like the likes of Saka and Smith Rowe needed this, by the way. And Martinelli, this has come at the right time for them, and they feel that they can go on. This is when it comes down to the manager, because the manager's obviously okayed this and gone, do you know what? We can do this with this. And whether they can or whether they can't, that's the thing. I'm going to say now, it's probably 55-45 that we're not going to do it.
Yeah, I'm with you, mate. I just listen. I don't think we were going to get top 4 anyway. I think we should, with the team that we got in terms of the first 11, and the manager isn't good enough, mate, to get us into the top 4, even with players, in my opinion. So now, absolutely no chance, in my opinion. I thought we would finish 7th with the squad that we had, and now we're even weaker. If we lose to Wolves, which I think we probably will away from home, then it's looking like another 8th place finish again, and that just isn't good enough. No, this is just madness at the highest order, that we can get rid of 2 managers in Arsene Wenger and Unai Emery that are experienced for coming 5th, one of which got to Europa League final and 1 point off the 4th. But now it's okay for a manager to come 8th, spend 250 million, be out of Europe, and waste another window by bringing nobody in but just clearing out dead wood. And we're supposed to be happy with that. We're supposed to be the Arsenal. This is a madness. Albert, let me bring you in about the Aubameyang thing quick, mate. I just want to talk about the Aubameyang situation because for me, this is another Ozil situation, isn't it?
You know what, Dan? I would do. I said this. I'd be shocked if he's still here come the end of the January.
Hold on. Just say that the window is closed.
There you go. Yeah, it is.
Official.
Done.
The
Finished.
window is shut and Arsenal have signed nobody apart from Trusty the Process, Austin Trusty from Colorado Rapids, who we all know is Stan Kroenke's club, and a goalkeeper that we can't get in until the summer. What an absolute
150 million that's gone for, like straight into his back pocket, like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, that's where our transfer budget's gone, straight into his back pocket.
shambles. Sorry, Albert. Go on, mate.
That's all right. I think I bought more from TK Maxx than Arsenal spent this time. But no, with the Aubameyang situation, I thought I'd be shocked if he would have still been here at the end of the transfer window. And it's strange because if it wasn't for COVID, he wouldn't have been an Arsenal player. He probably would have gone to Barcelona. That's the ironic thing about it. But because COVID happened, the clubs kind of didn't really have the money or whatever, didn't make the offers, and the Aubameyang was kind of in limbo, really. So it was either he signed a big contract at Arsenal or nothing. And in a roundabout way, he's got his move now. But I don't think the issue is that I know people will have their sentimental kind of feeling towards. Yes, he's a top striker. He's a goal scorer. But the last 18 months, he has not. Since he signed the contract, he has not been on it at all. So it wasn't.
How much of that, Albert, do you put down to Arteta, and how much do you put down to Aubameyang? Is it 50-50? Is there more to one side for you?
What I do find strange is that I don't know. Obviously, we don't know what's gone on really behind the scenes because it can't just be down to lateness, but if you can reintegrate the likes of Granit Xhaka back into the fold and ship out Aubameyang, something isn't right consistency-wise there, man. It just doesn't make any logical sense because obviously you take Aubameyang out of the team, Lacazette scored 3 goals this season and Eddie hasn't scored. And now Aubameyang's not here anymore. What kind of planning is that? So I understand the whole thing about, you get the best out of Aubameyang. Aubameyang's a bit different because with most strikers in world football, they don't just score goals, they add a bit more. Aubameyang is just a pure goal scorer. But you've got a player system that allows him to get the best out of him. And yes, you can argue that. I have no problem with anybody that wants to throw that argument at all. But the thing is, if you're going to move him on, this is the problem. What was the contingency to bring somebody in? But Gaffer said it. They had no contingency. No one was coming in. There'll be some Arsenal fans that are not shocked at all what's happened in the last 31 days. I'm shocked, and you should be shocked, that Arsenal had a chance to solidify a top 4 finish and have blown it by not buying anybody. It's crazy. But the Aubameyang situation, it's unfortunately, listen, I'm not surprised he's moved, but I'm more disappointed the fact that they've chosen not to bring anybody in.
Yeah, it's a madness to that. Corey, let me bring you in lastly on that situation up top at Arsenal now. Shorter than short can never be, mate. Eddie Nketiah and Lacazette, that is it, unless you want to play Pepe or Martinelli up there. Corey, name me a striker that Mikel Arteta's got the best out of, because I can't. I'm struggling, man.
There's none. He hasn't got to, who. Seriously, he's played Nketiah, he's played Lacazette, he's played Aubameyang up top. He's even tried Pepe as a false 9. He's not been able to get consistent goals out of any striker. Whatever system he's playing, it's not been working for the strikers that we've had at the club, and they're all different types of strikers as well. It's not like they're all in the same mode, So people might talk about Aubameyang's style. When Arteta came to the club, he had Aubameyang out as a sort of inverted winger on the left, and he was running up and down. There's certain times where he was playing him almost like left wing back, So he was never. It was only after a while that he started to put him inside. That wasn't really working for him either. When Lacazette's been there, so we haven't seen what a striker that works well with Mikel Arteta at the moment. So we don't know whether it's just his ineptitude as a manager or if it's the players that we've got. But the whole situation with Aubameyang, it upsets me, to be honest, and it leaves a bad taste in my mouth because He is the last time that we all celebrated and, as fans all together was when Aubameyang pretty much won us the FA Cup final.
Yep.
Right. And we were all begging for him to stay on and sign a new contract. He did. Big contracts can be like kryptonite to a lot of players, especially at that age when they're sort of approaching sort of their late 20s or early 30s and you give them a big contract. I think something in their brain does sort of say, okay, I'm comfortable now. No matter what happens, I've got this big money. I'm kind of set for life. We've seen it with like Gareth Bale. It happened with Ozil, Eden Hazard. Was he like 31? He got a big contract at Real Madrid. He's got injuries and stuff coming to it as well. And even with Aubameyang, we've had that. He's had malaria, he's had COVID, he's had personal problems. But I personally think that there's still a player in there, and I fully expect him to go to Barcelona and score just like how he was scoring for us back when he was in his prime. I do think the problem with him is with Arteta, because when I put myself in his position, when he was late for the meeting for the North London derby, and Arteta was very quick to publicly throw him under the bus, I know as a man, forget being a footballer and whatever, just as a man, I'm going to lose respect for that person who's thrown me under the bus. We could have handled it in private. Wenger never did this. We don't know half of the things that probably went on behind the scenes when Arsene Wenger was there, because he always protected the players. Arteta seems very quick to not want to protect the players and sort of and not be accountable for anything himself. And with Aubameyang, that would hurt me, and I would lose respect for him. So he hasn't played well since then, and then he did it again, with the latest incident, and at that point, that the relationship has totally like deteriorated. And I don't think that we can't take that into account when we're looking at his poor form, because are you really going to be trying to run through walls for this manager who has basically embarrassed you, is really trying to ruin your public image? This is a man that has won African Footballer of the Year. He's won the Golden Boot. He's had a very decorated football career. And then this novice manager, 2 years in the job, has done nothing pretty much in football, not in his playing career, and definitely not as a manager, is now going to be trying to ruin my public image like this. It's of course he's not going to play for him. So he probably had to go. I'm upset that I was hoping that it would just be a loan and that if Arteta was to sort of lose his job at the end of the season, that he could then come back. But it looks like he's gone permanently now. And I just think that these are one of the decisions that could really come back to bite the club in the arse. Because I remember when Jose Mourinho was at Chelsea, and how many world-class ballers did he decide that, okay, I can't work with that player? Kevin De Bruyne,
Mo Salah,
and Lukaku. He's cost that. Do you know what I mean? If those players were still at Chelsea now, Lukaku's there. They had to pay 120 something million to get him back. But all of this because of Jose Mourinho and his ego and his inability to work with certain players. So sometimes it can come back to bite that club in the arse. You really have to have faith in that manager. And I'm quite astounded that they put this much faith in this guy who has done nothing to actually deserve that.
100%, mate. And I think that people don't actually know what Aubameyang has actually done wrong still. They say that it's guessing, turning up late for training, dicking around. Lee, you're trying to come in, mate.
Corey makes a fantastic point there about Aubameyang going out on loan or a permanent deal. That tells me that they're sticking with Arteta no matter what. Because
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, 100%.
Because that would to me like, oh yeah, like if you're not really sure of a manager, go out there on loan, see how it goes for 6 months or whatever. To do it permanently tells me that no, whatever he's done, we're backing Mikel to do this, and I do feel like that's a big statement, that is, and a very, very good point made there.
It is, mate. 100% it is. Boys, before we do let you go, start with you, Albert. What do you make for the rest of this season? Just quickly, mate.
It's funny, yeah. Gaffer asked me quite a while ago when I was on the show where Arsenal finished the season. I said, taking into consideration what I saw last season and the early part of this season, Arsenal will be lucky to get top 8. and there's a stark reality that might happen.
Well, that is a bit of, not a very optimistic vision, Albert. But you know what? I'm with you, mate. I'm with you. I am with you, bro. Corey, same question to you, man. Before we let you both go, where do you think we'll be going now?
I think it could be anything between 6th and 10th. To be honest with you, I think the squad is too thin. We're relying on really young players to get goals for us because none of us are sitting here thinking, oh, Lacazette's all of a sudden going to become prolific, or Nketiah. And then we're going to look at Smith Rowe continuing his goal scoring form, but that's gone a bit dry in January. Same with Martinelli. He's a young player. These guys are inconsistent. Saka, we can't rely on these guys to sort of get into double figures for the rest of the season. So then where the goals going to come from? We get injury in defense. We then, just like that, Rob Holding's back there. Cedric's back in. And then it's you know what I mean, it could get real bad. So I don't see us finishing above Tottenham. I don't see us finishing above United. And then the teams that are sort of in and around that, like West Ham and whatnot, they could easily finish above us if we we have a poor run of games. So anything between 6th and 10th.
Fair enough, lads. Been a pleasure. Albert JTV, get yourself over and subscribe to Albert's channel. Thanks for coming on, bro. And Corey, Touchdown Beats over on Twitter. Yeah, you're getting into your music now.
Yeah. Just follow me on that. Follow me on Instagram, Touchdown Beats. Yeah.
Sweet. Nice one. Safe. Thanks for coming on, boys. Much appreciated. You take care. All right, we'll speak soon. Much love. Let's bring on Kenny, Ken, and Max from the Arse Brothers. We've got to get them both on. To be honest with you, it's going to be interesting, Ken, to hear your thoughts, mate. You're very similar to me when it comes to Mikel Arteta and the process. So what have you made of this month, Ken?
Well, it's just another Arsenal window where basically they prioritise balancing the books to actually getting players in, and that's all they've ever been about. A lot of people exempting Mikel Arteta from this mess. Well, let's get some facts straight, and I think people need to listen to this information, let it roll around their brain, and then once they hear this information, perhaps they will change their thoughts. Mikel Arteta's 100% part of this. He's a team manager. He's on that transfer committee alongside Per Mertesacker, Edu, and Vinay. So for people to say, "Oh, poor Arteta," do me a favour. Seriously, stop this. Don't exempt him from this. He surely should know the areas that we're weak in. It was his decision to get rid of Aubameyang. It was his decision to jettison Guendouzi. It's his decision to get rid of Torreira. It was his decision, to get rid of Mesut Ozil. All these player departures, all through him. It's him. And the reason why he's
do you not think, Kenny, as well, that some of the stuff I hear, what signings from Mikel Arteta in the summer? And then it gets to this window. Can't blame Mikel Arteta. It's Edu. Well, don't praise him for the 6 signings then. Praise Edu. You can't have it both ways, man. This fan base protection of him is unreal.
The Arsenal, for some people, and Dan and Bailey had some really good points about the fan base. And I'll second to what he says, because I'll tell you one thing now. We've got a lot of pork chops in our fan base and wazzocks. But the thing is that you laugh, Dan. Unfortunately, these pork chops and wazzocks,
you're right,
now are the sort of leaders of the fan base. They're the people with the massive accounts who are now putting this detribite of nonsense of a season and now transfer window. We've got one. I'll read you one of these tweets. Sorry about it. Please indulge me. I'll read you this.
Oh, go on, Ken. Go for it, mate. You're on a roll. I like it.
This is someone with a massive account. I won't name names, but I think you'll work out when you listen to this rubbish from a big account. Listen to this. I just heard someone said we could have got full. Sorry, didn't realise the season was over on the 31st of January. And oh yes, I see the bigger picture, as I don't have any agenda whatsoever. I just see the much bigger picture. I wonder who wrote that. This is the sort of rubbish and garbage that we're seeing from the fan base. This is the same person who wrote the other garbage and proved that person is one of the biggest pork chops in the fan base. Oh, I don't see why any Arsenal fans should complain if we don't get fourth. Because if you asked any Arsenal fan at the beginning of the season, I don't think any of them will thought we got fourth place. Well, I'm sorry. We're the third biggest club in the country. You know, fourth is just a minimum. How can anyone say that a club of the size of Arsenal Football Club, the fifth biggest club in the UK, should envisage not getting fourth and not even challenging? What sort of rubbish is this? What nonsense are we hearing? Why is this man being exempt when he was publicly ordained as the team manager, not head coach, team manager, which means you have responsibility for player and a say in player recruitment and player departure. And also you're part of a transfer committee. Why is he getting exempt from this? And, I hear people saying, that we still got a chance of fourth place. Mathematically, we have. But if you look at the games we're going to play, Wolves away, and then Wolves at home, then Spurs, Liverpool, Chelsea.
There's some tough
Man
games.
United, and then we've got Villa away, which is going to be tricky, and Crystal Palace. The common denominator with 80% of the teams I've mentioned, they got a striker and put a ball in the net. They got match winners.
Just breaking you up there, Ken. AUBAMEYANG has signed for Barcelona. That is confirmed.
And again, that like a lot of people touch on that, so I'll just bore people to tears if I go on about the AUBAMEYANG thing. But again, it's just the common denominator is, who would you put your money on? Would you put on the money man with the match winners or Eddie Nketiah, who hasn't scored this season, Lacazette, who works his nuts off but has only got 3 goals, and our top goal scorers are the two kids that all of a sudden are now the Alpha and the Omega in order to get us to win big matches.
Got to laugh at you cry, mate. I tell you, it's unbelievable.
This is the reality, Dan. This is the reality of the situation. Regardless of whether people thought we shouldn't got the top 4, didn't think we're going to get the top 4. It doesn't matter. Once you're in it, this is an excellent chance of us trying to get ourselves in the top. Because guess what? The rules are the ability to get better players in order to challenge for the league. Because once you get better players, you get challenged for the league, and then you have foundations to build on. But in a day, this process since 2004 has been ongoing. We've seen a decline each season, and basically, Arsenal Football Club is a scam. Everyone's at it. That man, Mr. Wenger, the geezer that went on BBC Sounds to promote his book of fairy tales. He's been for the last 9 years since we stopped being a top club in Europe. He's been trousering nearly £100 million, and that doesn't include the bonuses he was getting for getting in the top 4. Yet no one said nothing. No one's outraged by that. They were just saying respect le professeur. And then you've got this manager with a blank check. Why isn't anyone outraged about this? Why people claim to be Arsenal fans and claim to love this football club, but have presided over a decline, and they have the audacity to tell me to calm down, stop being negative, and being toxic. Well, I'm sorry, mate. I don't support Portsmouth or Plymouth or Crystal Palace or Arsenal. And I own the fact we're a big club. Now, if people don't like the way things are, that's fine. Because my antidote is to get an Abramovich type owner who would basically, one, get rid of the rubbish we have in front of us, including the manager, and get proper people behind the scenes. Now, if people don't like this financial doping, we'll do what the Man United fans did when the Glazers came in and fought, where they formed FC Manchester. I've got a few names for the new club you can form. How about Avenel Rovers? And basically have a statue of Herbert Chapman and buzz off and let Arsenal Football Club try and act like a big club, because it's people like that holding this football club down, and the fact that they become a voice of the club is astonishing. I mean, people slag off a character on one of the fan cams, but I'll tell you one thing: he's a diehard Arsenal fan who's optimistic. What's the excuse of these people, these scribes on there, or want to be scribes who get their little boat races on Sky Sports and go on Twitter, goes, I was on Sky Sports today. Here's my little link. Oh, watch me. And then you go, the Sky Music come on, and you got 5 minutes of nonsense. Yeah, buy it. Yeah. What the Arsenal fans think? Oh yeah. I speak to a lot of Arsenal fans. No, you don't. You're speaking your own opinion, but you're just trying to get another slot on Sky Sports. That's what we're left with at this football club. This club is an embarrassment. And as soon as people, at the club realise this, and feel the outrage I do, then we're never going to ever change. 3 times.
Kenny,
You know what I mean? I'm sick
Kenny,
of this.
I feel your pain, mate. I feel your pain. Before I bring Max in, Lee,
Yeah.
I've got to come to you, man, because Kenny for me is talking facts, and I feel his pain and I feel the passion, and it's like I'm listening to myself. Lee, he brings up great points, man.
Brilliant points. And one of the things that really is, I'll be interested to see what people are saying. Because a lot of people we know have turned around and said, oh, that's all right. We're clearing the decks for the new signings to come in. We're clearing the decks for this. Wait till we get their new signings. Don't worry about it. Stay cool. Enjoy your day, because we're going to sign players at the end of it. Like, you know what I mean? Don't get stressed out. We'll be signing players. Well, we haven't. What are they going to come back there and say? And that's got nothing to do with whether you like Mikel Arteta or not. Let's get this right. This is about everything about Arsenal Football Club. People were turning around and saying, yeah, we're going to give it a break because there's going to be players coming at the end of this window. It's not happened. Now, these fans now will go away. They won't say nothing like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, I know what Kenny's saying and I agree with him, but I know Kenny really well. He's a big Arsenal fan. All you can do as an Arsenal fan now is back the team and try and support the team. You can't, it don't matter whatever else we do now. You know, they've really, at the end of the day, come on, they've just stuck 2 fingers up to all of us fans today with this transfer in January. Come on, they have. They really have. You know what I mean? They have. You know what I mean? Like, and you just got to take it, because that's what we are. We're nobodies to these, and it's our choice now what we want to do. It's our choice. You want to go to games and all that, like, or you don't. I'm not as enthusiastic about going to Arsenal as I was. I'll be honest.
No.
And I'll say this now with players that I really, really do like in the team at the moment. I like the Sackers. Yeah. I like the Smith Rose. I like the Ramsdales. I like Odegaard. But my worry for that is that if one of them upsets Mikel, what's going to happen then? Look what he done to Tavares the other day. Took him off against Notts Forest. Fair enough. I see Tierney having just as bad a game as him against Burnley, stayed on the pitch. It happens all the time in football, whether you playing at this level or whatever. There's always favourites. There's always players that are going to always come off. No matter what you do, going to be substituted or whatever. It's how it works. And if you're in his little groovy gang, you're all right.
Yeah, you're bang on there, the inconsistency. But, you know, I don't think that we can look at that, sort of looking just at the transfer window, that it is just Mikel Arteta. And I will say that because I'm not his biggest fan. Max, I want to bring you in because you might see things a little bit differently, bro. I know that you and I had spoken not long ago, and you were saying that you were enjoying watching Arsenal. You liked the way the players were being brought in, and you liked the way that you saw a different style of Arsenal. So it's good to have different opinions on the show, mate. We don't always agree, you and I. So this will be fun. Go for it, man.
Well, first of all, Dan, it's good to see your face. I haven't seen you in ages.
Yeah, you too, man. It's been too long, bro.
Second of all, Kenny Ken, absolute legend. Lovely to be on the screen with you. Lee, how are you?
Nice to meet you, Dan.
Let me preface everything I'm about to say with that I am fundamentally disappointed with this transfer window. Let me just preface all of that at the beginning. I don't think that it is normal, sensible. I don't think that you're better than someone who is outraged because you're saying, I'm trying to stay calm, because that's self-preservation, Dan. There's a lot going on in the world. You know, businesses destroyed by COVID, all of this stuff. And Arsenal is a social outlet for us where we're able to make wonderful connections and be part of something that is bigger than ourselves. That's the whole reason why we support a football club. And that doesn't go away because the transfer window is trashed. It doesn't go away because we didn't bring anyone in. We're still going to get up. We're still going to support. We're still going to go sit in our season ticket seat. you know, we're going to take a hit for the next couple of weeks, and then, you know, we'll go to Wolves. Maybe we do them 3-1, and in 2 weeks' time, it's a whole different story. And the problem with being podcasters, problem with being pseudo-journalists, is that we put our opinions out into the world, and sometimes those opinions get clarified by the outcomes of what the club produces, and sometimes they get tested. I, for one, started the season saying I thought we were going to be absolutely awful. I didn't like any of the signings that came in. I thought Ben White was a waste of money. I didn't know who Tomiyasu was. I didn't like the Ramsdale signing. But what I tried to do was keep my powder dry until I had seen the outcomes of what the club was putting in place. And those early season outcomes, the reason why I was saying to you, I was enthused and I felt that we were improved, was because purely I was enjoying, outside the first 3-4 games of the season, mind you, I'll preface that, but I was enjoying the progression of the team. I was enjoying turning on the television and feeling like an Arsenal fan from maybe 15 years ago. My favourite thing of an Arsenal fan always used to be to watch the League Cup, because I got to watch Carlos Veyes run out, and I got to watch, you know, young Theo Walcott's run out, and Gibbs's run out, and young Wilshere's, and all these guys. And the way that we've structured that part of the club, the way that we started dragging through youth and getting identity through Hale End, has enthused me. So all of those things, they don't dissipate because this transfer window is trash. None of those things that I felt positive about dissipate. None of the positivity that I had around the Man City game, with essentially the same squad we're going to have for the rest of the season now, none of that dissipates. None of my rip-roaring passion, my favourite game of the season so far was going down to 10 men against Liverpool, and the rear guard and the passion and the banging of the shirt, and this is what we do. So all of those things play into my more moderate opinions of where Arsenal is and where we are at a club. I think we're, in a sense, it's almost unfortunate this season that Manchester United were so awful and that Tottenham is so awful. I don't mean that in the sense that, you know, I wish they were good and we were further away from them, but I think how poorly those clubs progressed from a position that they started the season essentially in a better or in a higher position as far as their trajectory. I think because they were so bad and we've been able to get quite close without actually being particularly good for any long stretches of time, it's built up a false identity for Arsenal fans of how good we are and how far we are. I don't want to use the word, but how far we are in the process. So what I say now with the transfer window and what I say with the outgoings is, and again, I preface this, I think not bringing in anyone is kicking dirt in the Arsenal fans' faces, because you would almost go to the owners and say, at this point, lads, it doesn't matter who we bring in. We've got to bring in someone, because if we lose the crowd and if we lose the home fans, which has been a huge reason why we've been so dominant at home, if we lose them because they start to feel that the club's not connected to them or that the club's not delivering to them, then we start to lose some of our ability to win games. You lose that additional man in the crowd, you start to lose that extra drive up the pitch. And so I'm really disappointed that there wasn't essentially someone out there, whether it was another Lucas Perez signing or something of that ilk, that we could have brought someone in, someone maybe instead of Eddie, not someone to replace Laka. But I said earlier that what I've tried to do this whole season is look at what they've done and allow what they've done to actually play out before I start to make my really, really aggressive opinions about what's happened, like the transfers at the start of the window, moving into where I felt we were at Christmas. And I will say this, and I know I'm going to get lynched in the comments because everyone right now is burning effigies and, you know, trying to stab hay bales that look like Arteta. But I will say this. Is the outcome what I wanted? No. Will I still support for the rest of the season? Yes. I tell you where the outcome of this transfer window comes into play. And yes, it's in this next couple of months, and hopefully we finish in a high position. Where it comes into play is in the next transfer window. Because if you've cleared out all of this cash, I mean all of this cash, and it's big money that's cleared out, and it's deadwood that's cleared out, you'd want to have in that strategy that they said, you know, when Arteta flew out to Denver or whatever it was, you want to know in that strategy that they said, we are only buying Apex players. And if we cannot get Apex players, 70 million, 80 million, 90 million pound Apex players, then we're not going to get them. And you would hope that that means that they have identified players in the summer that they were going to get. And what they didn't want to do was buy more B grade and more C grade players, that buying those B grade and C grade players, the Kolasinaks of the world, have got us into the position that we're in, carrying Deadwood on too high wages. Now, does that absolve a club from having a structure that is clearly based around being self-sustaining and making money? No. But that, unfortunately, is Arsenal's identity, and it has been as long as the Cronkies are here. What we have to look now is the structures around the club. Are the structures that they are putting in place today going to reap rewards in the future? And is this an exercise in long-term planning for long-term success rather than short-term planning for short-term success that has us dive off the edge of a cliff again in 2 years with bad contracts and overloaded players?
The thing is with that though, Max, and the reason I'm going to come back at you with this is it's always the next window, isn't it? It's always,
Yep.
oh, we're going to see the next window. We're going to see the next window. This guy's had so many windows. I said it the other month. He's got needs more windows than Microsoft. This guy, it is unbelievable the amount of times that I've seen. Oh, we need another window.
The next window, we've got one striker
I know.
in our next window. So when you're looking at that, I don't how many more windows. You know, so that's another. You've got to go. How are you going to get 3 strikers in a window? Because that's what you need, or at least 2.
And Lee, I think it's going to fail in the next window. I believe it's going to fail in the next window. I believe the next window will be the end of this 3-year process, and that the planning will have been incorrect and that the decisions made will be incorrect. That's what I believe. But we almost have to get to that window because of the system that's been put in place of them saying maybe it's a 4-window system or a 5-window system to get to this apex position that they're looking for. And I think
so. Although you like some of the players, Max, you like some of the players that are brought in, and you're excited by the Sackers and Smith Rowes. I think we all are. Essentially, you still don't think that the Cronkies process is going to work. Is that what you're saying?
Not in the modern scope of football. Not to be competitive in the modern scope of football. You can apply this system and maybe find moderate achievements, FA Cups, Europa Leagues, touching top 4. I don't think that this system has ever been or ever will be built under the Cronkies at being Premier League based, because we know now it's a system where you are buying the best players consistently and selling those players and moving people on. And you know, you look at the most successful clubs. The most successful clubs do not use this system that Arsenal are using. I would argue that this system is an archaic, Wenger-esque system. It's a throwback system of let's build the economy, let's build the academy, let's bring people through, let's buy low, sell high. Not that we're actually doing any of that, but that's the idea, that's the concept that they're looking at. I think it will fail next year. I think that's the point of failure. But I think that's the timeline that they set out in front of them to allow it to progress. And the only thing we can hope is at that point of failure, the whole thing turns over and we end up getting a club which is more of a modern club, more of a financially supported modern club that says, no, we want that player in January. We'll just hit the release clause. We'll just go get him for 90 million, because that's what City does. And that's what they win. That's why they win. And that's what Chelsea's done. And that's why they win. I fucking hate those clubs, right? And I love our club. But there's a difficult thing with Arsenal fans, because you want, I was saying to someone the other day, we always used to say, at Arsenal, we don't buy legends, we make them. And that was part of our DNA. And we loved that. And we were proud of that. But 20 years of being shit is making us move away from those opinions and start saying, well, maybe we need to start buying people.
The thing is with, that's a great point. Like, it's like Chelsea, they spent, I don't know how much it was, 50, maybe even more, 55 million on Tino Werner. It's not a success. So the next season, the next transfer window on the next season, they go and spend 90 million on Lukaku. Arsenal can't afford to do that. Every decision that we make in a transfer market has got to be spot on. Now, so it has to be, there's always a gamble with that, but it has to be panned out and go for it. So we're not in a position to say, like, we've shown our hand really with the Vlahovic one, haven't we? Like, you know what I mean? We couldn't then go out and go, right, we haven't got Vlahovic, we're going to go and spend 70 million now on Isaac or someone else. We put ourselves in a position where if we didn't get him, we was going to foul, and this is what's happened. You know, because we can't scattergun top strikers. We can't scattergun anyone, to be honest. Like, you know, I have to say, it seems to me that they're happy with the midfield that they've got. If I'll be honest, they've looked at it and thought, do you know what? We're happy with our midfield.
They thought it's enough, Lee. That's what they've said.
Yeah.
They've said that's enough.
Yeah, they've said, yeah, we think this is enough. That worries me. It's enough for what? It's not enough to get you challenging for a title. I don't think it's enough quite to get you to top four. So what are you actually? What is it enough for? Is that striker putting all your money on the striker? Was that going to blast you into the top four? I don't know. But eventually, you know, if we'd have signed Vlahovic, that's not going to get you to where you want to go in the long run, which is title challenge. You've still got to improve in other areas. And I look at what we're doing in a transfer, and I don't really see what we're doing.
Lee, I think what it is, I think you're looking at an overly structured ownership team. And I think what they did is they said, year one, this is the investment and this is the aim. Year two, this is the investment and this is the aim. Year three, this is the investment and this is the aim. And unfortunately, fortunately, Arsenal getting into that touching distance of fourth, it's moved us over a barrier quite quickly. And they are so structured and so connected to whatever this process is that they've said, we don't want to divert from the process. But what all Arsenal fans wanted was to say, we're actually a year ahead here in January. We're a year ahead of where any of us thought we were going to be. Hit the button and go.
Yeah,
You have an over systemated structure.
I concur to what you're saying, but you cannot go on that sort of thing of like structure this, structure that, because what happens in along the line, Aubameyang starts playing up or not turning up at time, and all of a sudden that shoots out, because like I'd imagine in that process, that Aubameyang's going to be here for another year before we get to, you know, like realistically, the Vlahovic one, maybe they've had to push that forward a little bit more, and maybe they were going to go for that in January, in the summer. Aubameyang was going to get us there, and then we could gradually ease Aubameyang out, because that's what football is. It's ruthless, blah, 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 blah. You've got to have flexibility and also back up if things go wrong. Now, what happens now, God forbid, that one of those players gets in midfield, gets a serious injury on that against Wolves, or even in training, you know, they go out, you know, the sort of thing that Arteta do.
You say what's happened. Well, it's already happened. You know, two of those main midfielders you're talking about. One's about to finish his suspension. One's starting suspension. So it's happened already.
Yeah, no, they're both back now. They're both back now, Kenny. That's what I'm saying. My point is, they could both get injured in the next week, right? We've been shown in the January transfer window that if they're not about, that's what we've got, and you've still done nothing about it.
Well, I'll tell you why. Because for the simple reason is that this window is, and the reason why Arteta is probably getting the brownie points is because, you know, under the Cronkies, their main aim is to make sure that we do not fall, you know, like if we don't exceed FFP. So basically what Arsenal have had, we had a situation where we've had players on massive wages who are deemed to be not to be valued for money. So what the Arsenal board have prioritised is getting rid of these players, especially players who probably in the last few months of their contracts or got a year to go. Aubameyang was a disciplinary issue, but it's always been about that, balancing the books. But the problem with Arsenal is that we are being run now, but like Man United, all Arsenal Football Club care about, and it's the same with a lot of clubs that have American owners, is that all they're interested is Plan B, and Plan B is merchandise, TV money, and not just the TV money from the Premiership. They're trying to get into virgin territory, which is China. This is where the money's going to come in. So as long as they're making money in terms of selling the Arsenal name, then what they're going to do is that they're going to prepare for ESL, where the real money is, because they've already been promised nearly £300 million for being part of the thing. And what will happen is that once they auction off the TV rights and then the Cronkies make a profit, that's when they'll do the Frank Boff. And that's what this is all about. We've been scammed about it. And people need to, accept that the only way we're going to come out of this mess, because this is the third time it's happened. 17 years without winning the trophy, 53 to 70. We said never again. 71 to 1989, 18 years without winning the title, never again. We've done it the third time, which shows that we never learn at Arsenal Football Club. The only way we're going to compete is if we follow the example of the two most successful clubs in the country, which is Chelsea and Man City. Because let me tell you something now. People can say, oh, we've got to have our own identity. Myth. Let me tell you something now. Everything that's been successful in this football has basically been copied from other clubs. Everton in the 80s, Howard Kendall's side copied those guys down the Stanley Park at Liverpool, Bob Paisley Liverpool. And that's Ajax probably would have copied the great teams. All the tactics that everyone eulogises about and naming themselves on Twitter have been regurgitated tactics from about 60 years ago. Pressing's been around since the 60s. 4-4-3's been around since the 60s. So when people say, oh, I don't want to copy Chelsea, well, let me tell you something now. Our training ground, right, London Colney, you go to Cobham, that's exactly that's like a carbon copy of our training ground, because Abramovich, when he first came to us, bought all that money and brought Chelsea. He didn't just think up all these great ideas. He looked for all successful. He got the best scout in the business from Tottenham, Frank Arneson. The best negotiator from Man United. Like I said, Kenyan. And then he went and said, who's the most successful club at the moment? Arsenal Football Club, just done the Invincibles. So basically, he said, right, I want their structure. So when people say, why are we copying Chelsea? Why do we want to get a donor? And why we get a megalomaniac to run the club? Because, Kel, you're right. We're not going to be able to compete without the kind of owners that Newcastle have got, Man City have got, and Chelsea have got. What Liverpool are doing right now, Liverpool fans are getting scammed. Because I'll tell you what, the Fenway Group are all about the Red Sox, all right? And what they're doing is that they've accelerated their process by getting Klopp. When Klopp goes, then Liverpool will probably in the same situation we're in. And then Liverpool fans...
Do you know what, Ken? The owner of Chelsea demands nothing but the best. Newcastle will be exactly the same. Man City will be exactly the same. And that's why we should need to raise the standards of this football club and get these guys out. And this is what we've been trying to fight, because the fan base won't unite, because there's still a minority that, I think we're probably the minority looking at the fan base.
These guys out. Because like Max will tell you this, agree with me on this. Most clubs in the Premiership, or even English football in general, do have a billionaire owner. So not all of those owners are the kind of megalomaniacs that I think we need at Arsenal. Some of them are going to want to run their football clubs organically, or like a lot of American owners want it to be part of their portfolios, where it's sexy to own an English club, because what's happened is that Americans think, well, why is this pastime really popular? Oh, loads of money in it. Yeah, I'll have one of them, because that's what it looks like at Arsenal. So when they come up with this sort of plan, 3-year cycle, let me tell you something now. This process has been ongoing since we last won in 2004.
It's only 2 years old. Yeah.
Line upon decline. Let's not forget we went 9 years without winning a trophy under the great fabled Arsene. So this isn't new, and this will carry on as long as the mentality doesn't change amongst the football club, which is all the stakeholders, the board, the fans, and most importantly, we don't get that megalomaniac. Until we get that megalomaniac, we've got no chance of competing.
100% agree with you, Ken. I've got to get our last guest on, boys. It's been an absolute pleasure. Kenny, if everyone, there's Max, no point. Everyone knows how to follow Kenny Ken on socials.
You've got me thinking. You haven't had me yet, but you made some really good points that I get. I get it.
Absolutely. Max, absolute legend, man. Thanks so much for coming on, bro. The Arse Brothers, what's going on? Are you back on, or what's happening?
Yeah. We're still doing our Thursday night live show. but we don't get paid, and there keeps being games on Thursday night when we're meant to be podcasting. So we watch the football instead of recording. So until we get into the Champions League, there won't be many podcasts from us, I guess, because Thursday's the only day to do it.
Max? Is that going to happen, Max?
Yeah. Mate, top four is coming. It's coming, Kenny. But no, at the Ask Brothers on Twitter, if you want to, or we're on YouTube as well. If you like Dan, as I say, a slightly different podcast. Put the kids to bed definitely before you turn it on.
Yeah, uncensored, mate. Uncensored podcast, the Ask Brothers. But we'll definitely come on and make an appearance. Max, absolute legend. Thanks for coming on, mate. We'll definitely catch up soon. And Kenny,
Cheers,
legend, mate. Much love. We'll speak to you soon, Ken. Man, always welcome, mate. Save the best till last.
Before we get Russ on, Dan, Net Max made some fantastic points. I know that we probably don't quite agree with what's going on at our football, but he made some very, very good points there. And and Kenny also, you know what I mean, on the other side of it. Like, I thought it was a fascinating conversation, that, by the way.
No, I totally agree with you. And Max always articulates well.
It's going to go downhill now.
Well, yeah, we saved the best till last, isn't it? I've done this on purpose. I've done this on purpose, to be honest, because I know that, you know, we've had Max who articulates well and he's come up with some good points. We've had Kenny who's come with a different side, but we have saved the best till last because somebody who's been telling us all along in WhatsApp groups, and you know, we've had myself and you, Lee, that have been a lot more on his side. A lot of people, stop moaning, stop being negative, giving him a load of stick. It can't be Stan Kroenke's fault. 250 million he's given him in the last two windows. Stop moaning. We spend money. It's Gooner Russ, people. Gooner Russ, welcome to the show. This is your chance, mate. This is your chance, Russ, to let off some steam. Good therapy. The window is shut, Russ, and we have signed Zilch, mate. It's not even a Peter Cech transfer window. It's worse than that. We're absolutely depleted as it is, and we've thinned our squad even more so. So, Russ, take it away, man. What are your thoughts?
I thought the fella, Max, I've not seen him before. I thought he was... he made one point about the wait into the next window scenario, and it got me thinking, because basically what he was saying about year one, year two, year three, it made some sense to me. And you was expecting me to come on and start ranting, weren't you? But I'm not going to do that, because another person I was watching on Twitter the other day, he made a great point about the £1,600 million worth of free agents going on the market this window, all out of contract. And it could well be that we're keeping our powder dry for that, because it'll be silly to spend money now if you can go and get these people on freeze the way we're run with our self-sustaining model. That it wouldn't make any sense to go and crash in with 200 million quid's worth in this window. So if we could do it on 30-40 million pounds a year wages instead of doing it on transfers, I think we'd all be happy with that. Kenny made some great points about the fan base as well. I mean, I've been banging on about this for years. We've laid down and let these people trample all over us for so many years, and it was so refreshing when we went to that protest, Dan. When we see about, well, depending on what figures you believe, but I believe there was probably about 5,500, 6,000.
Yeah, 6,000. Yeah, I was said.
Yeah, and because we all had something to unite behind, it was very refreshing. But as soon as the ogre of the ESL disappeared, all that passion went, and that told me that these people weren't really interested in getting the Kroenkes out. They just didn't want the European Super League, because as soon as the European Super League fizzled out, that process fizzled with it. So, but I wonder what you think about that, keeping your powder dry again. I mean, I have actually predicted that we would spend nothing in this window, that we would do no business. I always thought that Vlahovic smacked of the Lamar business in that famous window when we bid £90 million for him.
Oh, Thomas Lamar, yeah, Thomas Lamar, I remember.
It smacked to that for me. And when I did a little bit of research on the fellow, he'd always made noises about going to Juve, and so I never ever. I wanted him desperately. Don't get me wrong. I think he's a fantastic player, it might not have worked though. We don't know, do we? So all transfers, as Lee said earlier on, are a gamble. Life's a gamble. What I can't accept is the fact we don't seem to gamble the right way, do we? We're gambling on older players.
We've gambled on this, Russ.
Sorry?
We've gambled on this. Gambled the other way.
Yeah. We've gambled with potential league positions, haven't we? That's the worrying thing. And I've seen some gooners saying that well, we're getting results now with this team, and you think, well, you've had a little cluster of results. Yeah, I'll give you that, where you've beaten a few teams with a few goals in November, December. But when you look at the 21 games played, 7 losses on the board already. That's a third of your games you've lost. That's 1 in 3 games you've lost. How is that you're starting to get results? This is where our fans seem to get a little bit confused. I don't know what's the matter with them. Getting results for me is going on a 10-game run, winning 8 and drawing 2. That's getting results. We haven't done that in about 10 years, have we? Win 8 and draw 2 on the run. Nah, it's something's dreadfully wrong with the whole setup. And I did say in the summer that I thought the transfer window was poor, and I got slaughtered for it. I thought it was potential for the future, which we didn't need. We needed here and now players to give the younger players the platform to play, to give the younger players the experience. They have that arm around the shoulder thing when things are not going well in a game. And instead, we've had players just slung in and left hang out to dry, like little Charlie Patino at Forest. He looked like a fish out of water, didn't he? That's not good for a young professional's development. So there's so many points I would like to bring up. You'll have to jog me memory on a few of them. But yeah, it's a disappointing transfer window, but it's a nothing transfer window.
Who do you blame though, Russ? Like, who needs to take blame for this? Do they all need to take a blame? Is there anyone more than the other? Like, where do you stand on it?
Well, because there's such a lack of transparency towards the fans, and I know Dan was saying about he's on the advisory board, but they won't ever tell him anything about what actually goes on. And I don't want to know about every single transfer deal, but I would like to know what their actual plan is, what they aim to achieve in that time scale of 3 years. And when you get your technical director come out and say he won't answer the question what our actual targets are to win a trophy and to come 5th or 6th or 10th, or he wouldn't answer, and that's very worrying to me that they don't really have a target. Maybe I don't know. I'm just assuming that they don't have a target. It's just a weird way of running a competitive institution to not have targets. There's a definite lack of communication with the fans. There's a lack of direction at the football club. I'm at a loss really, because I want to see us fans protesting now. I've had enough of us saying wait for the next. I know what Max was saying was spot on, because of what I said about the free agents that's going to be available. But do you trust these people to recruit those free agents? I mean, I just seen young Todd Cantwell has gone to Bournemouth. Wouldn't he have been a decent loan signing for us? Wouldn't Todd Cantwell have come to Arsenal? Is he not good enough? Is he not better than what we've got? I don't know. From what I've seen, I don't get that we haven't.
Is he got on loan or is it permanent?
On loan. Was it? But it's Bournemouth. I think he's gone to, not Brighton. Bournemouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
for me, Russ, it's a striker situation. It's a mess. It's an absolute mess. Aubameyang, Pepe out of favour. Eddie and Ketty are not good enough. 3 goals between Lacazette and Eddie, and we're trying to go for Europe or top 4. I can't see it. I said this before Christmas, didn't I? I said that we needed goals. We needed a plan B. We needed an awkward, not the sort of Arsenal striker that we've been used to for a few years. And it's not been done. And people have laughed at me about Weghorst. And I think Weghorst is going to do really well at Burnley, because they will stick the ball into him and he will score goals with his head.
and we put a lot of crosses into our box, and we've got a centre forward who's normally standing on the D, waiting for the ball to be pulled back. That's no good, is it? If you're going to put 30 crosses in a game, you put him on Weggles' said he's going to score.
Do you think Jack Wilshere's going to be announced? Be honest.
I hope not, mate. I don't really want to say too much on air, but I don't really want him anywhere near the club anymore. No. Not me.
Dan,
No.
I don't think so, because I think it would have been done by now, Lee. If they do it now, they're going to look like incompetent clowns even more than they are, mate. How can they sign him now when we don't need him, when all of our midfielders are back? They should have signed, if they really were desperate for him and they wanted him and they looked at him in training and thought, God, you know what, Jack can still do a job for us, that he should have been playing against Forest and Liverpool in the cups when we were short. Don't bring him back now when Partey, El Nini, Xhaka and everyone's back. We just look like idiots.
Yeah, don't forget, so like someone just making a good point, like Diego Costa's still out there at this moment in time.
Yep.
Because the transfer window's closed, it doesn't mean to say that we can't buy free transfers or get free transfers. So Diego Costa could come in tomorrow or someone like that. Jack Wilshere could be signed in a week's time. We're short on numbers. So for me, you know what I mean, like if you were to lose a couple of players, you could come and bring in a couple of free strikers because we've got the squad's not stocked, is it? You know, I think like someone said to me today, is that right? We've only got 17 players signed on at the moment. If that's the case,
shocking.
That is a bit of a worry. You know what I mean? So
I don't know if it's as few as that. I know that we, according to
it was 19. It was 19 with Aubameyang, so it's now 18.
Someone put it in a chat a little while ago. Let's see if I can find it.
I think it's 18.
Does that include the players that played against Burnley? They were just brought in from the.
Right, yeah. I mean, we'll have with under 23s. We've got 35 or whatever. Yeah, we've got loads. Yeah. But because they're under 21s.
We've got 20 players. I'll name them if you want, like that recognised players. Like so, you've got Ramsdale and Leno.
Yeah.
Tomiyasu and Cedric at right back. Tierney and Tavares at left back. We've got three central defenders in White, Gabriel and Holding. Midfielder, Partey, Xhaka, Sambi and El Nini. Smith Rowe, Odegaard, Saka, Martinelli and Pepe. Lacazette and Eddie.
There we go.
But at the moment, El Nini's still in at the AFCON, isn't he?
Yeah, well, he'll be back by the time we play again on the 10th, won't he?
Yeah.
So he's the only one that's actually now.
His goal scoring threat is legend, isn't it? El Nini.
Yeah. So we've got 9. So we're going to the game against Wolves with 19 players. So in theory, looking at that, it isn't that too bad, is it?
Yeah, but as you said, Lee, we're only an injury.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Got no injury. That ain't bad. That's all right.
The two players we've got who are supposed to be our experienced seasoned pros, Xhaka and Partey, have just been sent off ridiculously in 10 games.
That is what
they are a fine example to the young pros at the club, ain't they? Them two clowns.
And this is what I'm saying. That for me tells me that the manager is quite capable of managing that squad because it's small. You know what I mean? Like there's no real awkwardness. Like if
no
he has
bad decisions, no difficult decisions to make for him, is there?
Exactly what you know what I mean? It's all a little bit too easy, isn't it? Like
one game a week. Which
means there's no pressure if you do crap. If you do crap, play crap.
The other thing is on that, that Holding's not going to play. Sambi and El Nini, they're going to be out of the side. You know what I mean? Like, and then and you know what I mean? Eddie probably like, you know what I mean? And you can manage that, can't you? Like, but if you've got 3 or 4 superstar players that are not getting a game,
but now we've got rid of Aubameyang off the wage. Well, I take it we've got rid of some of his wages, ain't we? We've got rid of half of his wages.
Everything. He's gone, mate. He's gone.
Has he actually gone, or is it a loan deal?
No, he's gone. No, he's gone permanently. He's done.
So the wages are gone. So that's another
25 million. 25 million we've saved apparently
in wages. Yeah, over the course.
Well, let me ask you this. Let me ask you both this, boys. Right, you've just named that side there, Lee. Right. We played like we did against Burnley on that Sunday. We're struggling against Wolves. Can't score, right? That 11 you've just named can't score. Name me 3 subs that are going to come on and win us the game.
I can't.
Well, one of them
because
will
there ain't-
be Pepe.
Right, that's
of
one.
them, Smith Rowe.
Right.
So I think
That's
that
it.
you know what I mean. Like, and Eddie would be your 3. It
Right.
ain't that bad, Dan.
So
You know what I mean? Like,
So there's 2 then, isn't there? Right? No, let's just listen. So there's 2. So you've got Pepe and Smith Rowe. I agree with you. They're 2 players that could change the game for us. When one of them gets injured or 2 of them gets injured,
that's the
that
gamble.
basically proves we're screwed. We're screwed. Absolutely screwed. So it's a
That's
madness.
that is exactly what we're saying. But that's the gamble that they've took, Dan. They've looked at it and thought, like, listen, when you look at it, like Ramsdale being goal, Tommy Asu, Tierney will be your fullbacks, White and Gabriel. That's a good back 4. Xhaka and Partey are 2 sort of like holding midfield players. Then you've got the choice between Smith Rowe, Odegaard, Martinelli, and Saka. And then up front, you know, you've got the choice of Pepe, Laka, and Eddie. That's what I think that Pepe's going to have to come there as the false 9. And, you know, let's get a tune out of him, Mikel, because you're going to need to get something out of him there. Like, you know what I mean? I look at that, and that ain't a bad 11, but you've got to go 17 games now without getting an injury.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I'm telling you, if you brought in 3 midfield players and a striker, you wouldn't get 1 injury.
No.
But now with you when you're game, do you remember like I don't know how long ago it was now when we just had Giroud up front? Do you remember when it was just Giroud?
2016 it was.
Every time he went down, you was no, we're screwed. That was how many years ago, and we're putting ourselves back in that position again. Like, you know what I mean? We are really. I'm saying this now. If we get no injuries, we'll be all right. We will come close to top 4. But ultimately, you know, when you've got a small squad, what's coming.
It's so frustrating that if we've got to this position where a little bit falsely as well.
And COVID, someone just mentioned in the chat, COVID as well. You know, come back and bite us at any stage.
Yeah, exactly. But to have got into this position because we played a lot of games and everyone else was getting their games cancelled, and we got into that position of being there, and then now the owner of the club or the technical director or whoever, because we don't know who's to blame, whether Kroenke said no, we're cutting costs and that's it, you ain't having no money, or Edu said no, there's no one out there that we think will enhance his team at the right price. We don't know what that is. But what I do know is that we've saved now nearly £2 million a week in wages.
Yeah,
Once you add on all the Kolasinacs and the Ozil and him and all these other players that we've shifted out, the wages saved is about £100 million a year. So when these fans, the pork chops, as Kenny was saying, come on and say, oh, we spent 142 million. No, we didn't. We spent about £40 million spread over 4 years. And then that's been negated by the fact that we've saved all that money in wages. So the net spend on actual transfers over the course of the year is minus again. It's balanced. The books have been balanced again. This is my big argument with Kroenke, that the club is dying on its arse, right? It's dying on its arse for a lack of investment. The club infrastructure is dying on its arse for a lack of investment, i.e. the stadium. You get loads of punters now coming into the stadium who've never been before, who can't find their seats because all the numbers have washed out. There's dye coming off the seats if you wear light coloured jeans. It's dyeing your bloody jeans red. There's all this stuff going on at the club. And
not in my feet.
not in your box, no. But it's come to the stage now where I'm calling Arsenal fans out, and I'm gonna say to you, I'm getting too old for it. But get off your asses, or stay on your asses rather, in the stadium after the game and protest. Protest and say we're not having this no more. Do what Everton did the other day. Get a couple of thousand people behind the goal and just sit down and sing and protest. You're not having this no more. We are being mugged off wholesale by this ownership. He has been getting away with murder, and some of the excuses I hear about, oh, it's not his fault. It's there's no players available. Oh, they're all too expensive. It's all bullshit. They had this bidding for Vlahovic was at 70 million pounds or whatever, or euros or whatever it was. They were prepared to do it, but they never had a plan B. How can you have a scouting network or lack of scouting network that doesn't have a plan B? You've always got to, in business, you've always got to have a plan B. And another thing you've also got to have is an exit strategy if it all goes Pete Tong. And this club hasn't even got, this owner hasn't got an exit strategy because he
The
said
money
that.
we've lost is unreal, isn't it? When you think about it, like
When you think
Yeah.
of the Champions League money we've lost, the money that we've invested into players' wages and got nothing back, it's an
It's
absolute
unbelievable.
disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace. How this man ever made money is beyond me. He's let these people run this club. I would have been, if this was my business, I would have been over on the plane and said, "Fuck, what the fuck's going on over here? Come on, lads. You're hemorrhaging cash every year and you're not getting results. What's going on? Why have he sacked Vinay? Vinay should have been sacked 2 years ago. He's clueless. He hasn't got a clue what he's doing.
I agree. They're all though, Russ. Now it's all getting to the stage where they're all as bad as each other. I really can't see one person to blame more than the other. Now I put excuse me, I put Kroenke as the ones to blame because you lead from the top and he's
Excuse me,
employed these
Dan.
people.
Excuse
When
me,
you
Dan.
get
It's very convenient, ain't it? That there's no one can be blamed.
Mm.
It's very convenient that it's a bit like a communist state, isn't it? Where everyone's equal, but some are more equal than the other, and no one can be blamed because no one actually knows who's doing what, and that's what our
Exactly.
clubs become.
Exactly.
No one knows
No, you're
who's
absolutely
doing
spot
what.
on. You're absolutely spot on, mate.
If
And
you look
that's why.
transfer window, like just the thoughts just come to me just now. People turning around and going, when we let Maitland-Niles go, they were turning around and saying, "Oh, that's because we've got someone
Get a
coming in,
midfielder in.
like, for
Yeah.
bringing a midfielder in." Well, we haven't done that. So when people ask me how good this transfer window is, it's been an absolute shocker from day one, hasn't it? Because
Yeah.
you
It has.
cannot.
Can I
Even
give an example, Lee, why it's a shocker?
justified.
Can I give an example why it's a shocker?
Go on.
Juventus have got Vlahovic in. They wouldn't let Arthur Melo go because they didn't have a replacement. Tottenham have done the same thing. They wouldn't let Dele Alli go until they got a replacement. They've now got this Kulusevski, is it, from Juventus?
And
they've
Bentancur
got-
as well.
And Bentancur as well. And they've let Lo Celso go. So they've done it the right way. They've got the players in and out and swapped them over and refreshed the squad. I wouldn't even mind that if we did that, but players go out and nothing comes back the other way. It's just so worrying, and it's like we're being asset stripped to me. It's almost like that. Ever since that Tim Lewis has come into the club, he's sacked Gunnosaurus for 30 grand a year, right? That was so unnecessary to say 30 grand a year. Well, poor old Gunnosaurus, you know what I mean? I mean, we could have even done with him playing up top, couldn't we? He's tall enough. We could have maybe got a song out of him. But, you know, and to do what they've done with all those staff when they furloughed all those, well, they made all those staff redundant to save £3 million. And then they're spunking money on AUBAMEYAng and all these other people that are not interested in our football club.
And how long is it going to be before the Sackers and Smith Rose and Martinellis don't hang about? This is my problem.
This is the other point I was going to come to, that unless the owner puts in a substantial pot of money above what's generated by the club to kickstart this, all you're going to do is you might buy a Vlahovic or you might buy another sort of what I call a grade A player every other window. So once a year you'll get an upgrade player. But that's not enough, because by the time you get 4 years down the line, you've only replaced 4 to 6 players, and all the others have caught them up in age. And now all of a sudden, they've got to be replaced because they're getting itchy. They want to go. Or
they're roundabout, Russ. It's the roundabout.
It's the jigsaw puzzle that's never ever finished. It shouldn't be called a process. It should be called the jigsaw puzzle that's always got bits missing. Yeah. That's the frustrating thing for me. And
where would you say, like, if you got to be honest now, like this, while we'll try and round it up now, but the three of us, like, and be honest, like, what would you give it out of 10 for the transfer window?
No,
I'd give it -1, mate.
No, I'm on that as well. I think it's been shocking. I think it's been absolutely
Horrendous.
We've got rid of players, as you say, got rid of Maitland-Niles and Chambers, which was a bit of a left field one for me. I didn't know why, for the money we got for him. I mean, we could have got 10 million from him in the summer, couldn't we? We could have got more money from Maitland-Niles. He wanted to go, and we held on to him.
Last summer, Kolasinac, Chambers, El Nini, Lacazette, Eddie, they all should have Chambers. They all should have been gone. Why were they here when they got no contract? We're not learning from these mistakes. That's why it's a -1.
Going for nothing.
Yeah, that's why it's a -1 for me, mate. We've done nothing in this window.
Do you know, right? You've got right. Let's be really honest about this, right? Yeah. Put this scenario to you. Last game of the season. I don't know who we've got last game of the season. Ball goes over the top, right? Bearing down on goal with a goalkeeper, 50-50, maybe even 60-40 in the favour of the goalkeeper, right? You're on a free transfer. Are you going to go slagging into that tackle to win that ball to get us to top 4, risk of breaking your leg and ruining your career, or are you going to jump out of that tackle?
A good professional will go for it, but I don't know if one of them
if you break your leg, you ain't got a contract, mate. You ain't getting a contract.
No, I understand that, but
listen,
it's a great point.
It's a business.
Yeah.
It's a business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're just going to go and sign for, I don't know, Dortmund or something for like getting £10 million.
Yeah. And that's why it's criminal that we haven't got backup players in now for when they go, because
seriously,
we are in a weak position, aren't we? When we come to the summer transfer window now, everyone knows Arsenal needs strikers, in plural, 2 to 3 strikers. Three really. We need 3. We need 2 if we want to play 2 up top, and we need a spare. So that's going to cost us a load of money, isn't it? And who's the selling club or the agent for the negotiating player is going to be in a massive advantage, because he's going to be able to ask sillier money than what would normally be given. So because we won't have the choice. Well, they do have the choice, because they just say no, and then we just get left maybe in an even worse position next year. I dread to think what would happen if we started next season without a recognised striker up front. I mean,
that won't happen. That can't happen.
It's Man City, and he does like to follow the Man City route. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this is true.
You can't say that it won't happen. We will do this, because you said, Dan, we will sign 2 players before the transfer window. You
don't know what's going. I ain't got no faith in what's going to happen tonight. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, mate. I thought we would.
You wouldn't be surprised.
Listen, I ain't got any faith at all, but I thought we must sign 2 players, surely.
Colorado,
belief of it was all belief.
Colorado rapid centre forward. What's he like? We're sorry signing him.
He's a centre back, Lee. He ain't a centre forward, mate. He's a centre
we're
back.
not getting a centre forward as well. Get him for 100 million.
We'll have to go and get a centre forward. Listen, boys, we're going to have to come to wrapping this up.
How can we be taken seriously as a football club when we're doing transfer business with American teams? Nothing against American players. They've got some fine players coming through, but not getting them into the club now and putting them back on loan again. We ain't in a position to do that, surely.
Well, we are, because we've done it, Ross.
We've done it.
Yeah,
we've done it, mate.
But by being in the position, I mean, to carry on to be competing at the top 4 or 5 in the league, we needed to get those players in. And to not do it, they just basically held the white flag up to me and just said they're not bothered if they do what they've done.
Yeah. No, it does seem like that. It really does seem like that. Boys, going to come to an end to wrap this up. I've only got one thing else, which is going to be quick to discuss. This could blow up in their faces. Lee, I'll start with you, and then we'll come to Russ. What is going to blow up in their faces? What does that look like, and what should happen if it does blow up in their face?
Well, I think, as I said, you know what I mean. Like they've made their decisions today. They've decided that this is how to go, and for me, it's a big mistake, and hopefully they'll lose their jobs for it if it doesn't work. If they get top 4, I'll tell you what, I'll be patting them on the back because they've done fantastically well. But I do think if they do get top 4, they've relied on lady luck. Arteta's a very, very lucky man, as I've said before. But if they don't, I'm afraid somebody's head's got to roll. I don't think one should roll without all the others, in my opinion. I'm a big Edu fan as a footballer, as a player. I thought he was fantastic. But if this doesn't work and we come below, if we come below Spurs and all that, and miss out on top four because of this, heads have got to roll down. I'm sorry. I'm fed up with just, it's all right. We went out and Nottingham Forest. Yeah, it's all right. It's not going to be all right no more for me.
No, I'm 100% with you, mate. Russ, what about you, mate?
Personally, I think we will come between 6th and 8th because we haven't got any goals in the team. And if we get to the end of this football season and we have not qualified for Europe in any shape or form, then I'm afraid Edu, Arteta, Vinay, the whole lot of them have got to go. And Kroenke's got to make some proper appointments with experienced people because we can't have them learning and keep making mistakes like this. We aren't in a position to keep suffering losses, financial losses, and errors in recruitment, especially with their their commitment to the football club. I'm sick of seeing players who kiss the badge and then don't turn up for training and don't turn up for North London derbies and things. I mean, what do they expect? I mean, I know Edu's had an hard time. Sorry, Arteta's had an hard time over his man management. But what's he supposed to do? He's got, if he doesn't do anything, he's just giving them all a license to do what they want. There's got to be discipline in the team.
100%, I agree with that.
And George
It
Graham,
works all the way around, no, Russ. It works all the way around when you've got someone.
No, you've got to be consistent. You've got to be consistent. If you do it for one,
constantly getting sent off, that should be also sorted out. But it hasn't.
No. There's too many people being bunged straight back in the team when they've not only cost us the points, but absolutely knackered the team out because we've had to do extra running for that one.
And Shaq's cost us over the last few games. I don't care what anybody says, but he's over here in Dubai. You know what I mean? But there you go.
And then if he don't sack these people when they failed, then we've got to go after him big time because
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you this now. That Saka better not let us down one more time this season. He better not let us down one more time. And if he does let us down, I'm not gunning for him. I'll tell you that now if he does.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. And I think that for me, personally, our target right now is, whether we're good enough or not, top four. Because when I see that team that we've got and I see what Man United and what Spurs and what West Ham have got, I look at that first 11 that Arsenal have got on paper that we've spent a ridiculous amount of money on, and I think, do you know what? We should be able to compete with them. What lets me down is the manager, not the players. I don't think this manager has got what it takes to get us into the top four. I think we'll come 7th. And personally, I don't think that's good enough. Coming 8th and 7th after spending that much money, 1 second, Russ, after spending that much money and playing one game a week and having a shambles of a window, goodbye, all of you. See you later. That's the way I see it. Go on, Russ.
My little 2 pennies worth is, if I was in a professional, if I was a bloke like Arteta, he does love this club. I mean, he's played for the club. He seems to have a genuine affection for the club. Surely, if he goes to the States begging, cap in hand, for help, right, and he gets told, as we're led to believe, that go and get some more money off the wage bill before you get anything, right? Don't you think that if that was a big manager, if that was like a Conte or a Mourinho or whatever, do you think he would have said, bollocks, I'm off? You're not going to back me. I know people say they've backed him in last summer.
Conte done that with Inter.
Yeah, but I know people say they backed him in the summer with all this money, which I've already squared off. They've not put that money in. That's just been coming out the self-sustaining model again and the wages savings. That to me, for professional pride, I would just say, no, I'm not doing this no more, because this is what happened with Wenger. Wenger was hiding behind their coattails, and the Kroenkes was hiding, or whoever the board was at the time, were hiding behind him, and they were selling our players under our noses to our rivals. And this is why we're in the state we're in now, because we have strengthened all our rivals, and we have now got to the stage, as we've said before, that 2016 window where we spent nothing because no one was available, because the recruitment was lazy. And now we're at this stage now, 5, 6 years later, we're in an absolute mess. And they've taken all the joy out of following this football club for me because it's just moaning all the time. And I don't want to moan. I want to have I'm a smiling
Yeah,
fella
I'm with you,
normally.
Russ. I'm with you,
And I
mate.
just feel miserable. And this transfer window, I've not hardly watched a bit of telly regarding football this month, other than when we've watched the Arsenal. I've not watched any of it because it's depressing me.
I'm
I'm
with
glad
you.
it's
I've,
over. I'm glad it's over, mate. Glad it's over.
I've shut down from it. I haven't looked at the transfer window. I don't watch none of it. I've shut completely down. And do you know what? I haven't really lost any sleep over it. And that's why, because I'm used to. I'm not going to be taken for a fool no more. What will be will be. I said that at the beginning of the transfer window. What will be will be. It'll tell me all I need to know. Thank you very much. You've done that for me. That's it now.
Cronky out.
Cronky out. The whole lot of them.
Cronky out indeed. Boys, this has been great. Russ, thank you so much for coming on, mate. We've been going for over 2 and a bit hours now. There's 1,400 of you in chat. Thank you all so much. If you could smash a like on this video, it would be much appreciated by me and Lee. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel. We're going to be bringing you more content. And once the football gets back, we can forget about this damn window. And hopefully it doesn't shoot Arsenal Football Club in the foot, but I have my doubts. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for listening on audio. Thank you to all of the guests for coming on. Until then, we'll see you next time. And up the Arsenal.
Up the Gunners.
Good night.